Chapter 244 Separation. Ding Xiang had never been outside the village. A 15-year-old girl like her would definitely run into danger. Shao Yunduan and Xiao Xian suspected that Ding Xiang had run away from the village, rather than in the mountains. The villagers spent 3 days but failed to find Ding Xiang. 3 days later, they stopped the search. It was all they could have helped with. They all believed that Ding Xiang must have died in the deep mountains. Either she fell into the valley and went unnoticed, or she had been eaten up by a beast. A young girl would not stay alive after spending 3 days in the deep mountains. No one, except for Xiao Xian and Shao Yunduan, thought that she would have escaped the village. That was beyond their imagination. Most of the villagers had only been to the town a few times, and some had never been to the town in their entire lives. No girl in her teens would be assumed to run away from home on such a long trip. That was just the least they could think of. Ms. Zhou was so sad that she shouted at 5th Grandma Ding and 5th Grandpa Ding that it was their fault that her daughter died. 5th Grandma Ding, who had been feeling a bit scared about her potential cause of her granddaughter's death, got even more furious hearing Ms. Zhou's blaming words. She slapped her twice, saying that she taught her daughter badly, and that it was her fault that Ding Xiang had done something like this. Ms. Zhou cried even harder. She wanted to live separately, or she was going to get a divorce. 5th Grandma Ding and her husband trembled in anger. 5th Grandma Ding forced Ding Zhou to divorce Ms. Zhou, so she did not have to see Ms. Zhou anymore, who would remind her of Ding Xiang and make her uncomfortable. But Ding Zhou did not agree. His daughter died and his son was only 3 years old. Now his mother was forcing him to divorce his wife? That was like killing him directly. 5th Grandpa Ding was annoyed too. He agreed with them separating from the family, but not right now, otherwise his family's reputation would be ruined. But both Ding Zhou and Ms. Zhou made up their minds to leave the home directly. They even regretted not having agreed to live separately when their daughter said so. If they had done so on the other day, things would be different now. In fact, deep in their heart, they wanted to live separately too, just that they did not dare to say it out loud. Now their daughter was gone, they would definitely move out of the family for the sake of fulfilling her last wish. 5th Grandpa Ding snapped and said that if Ding Zhou and Ms. Zhou would move out of their family, they would be removed from their household and they would have no attachment to the family. They would just pretend that they never had a son like him. Also, he did not need to support them when they got old. 5th Grandpa Ding said so decisively because he wanted to frighten Ding Zhou and Ms. Zhou, in case they thought about living separately again. He expected them to move out after 3 or 5 years, when Ding Xiang's disappearance was forgotten about. They would just sit and talk about this peacefully at that time. But not right now. 5th Grandpa Ding's decisive words made Ding Zhou and Ms. Zhou feel worse. They had just lost their daughter due to his parents' intimidating attitudes, but his parents did not even feel sorry. Instead, they said such hurtful things. It seemed that the elders did not seem to care about them at all. Chapter 245 Nothing attached. Had they been treated with respect, they would not have heard words like this. Hence, they nodded without hesitation. They wanted to move out of the family immediately, and started to live separately. Ding Zhou even got a land officer and tribe chief as witnesses. 5th Grandpa Ding was so surprised and frightened that he wanted to sneak into the ground out of humiliation. How could this obedient son of his become so stubborn? But he could not revoke his words. He would be even more humiliated if he went back on it. So the whole thing was solved directly. With the young son in their arms, Ding Zhou packed some clothes whilst Ms. Zhou carried away 2 cages of her dowries and left the Ding family. 5th Grandpa Ding was so fierce that he did not even give them any food. He expected them to come and beg for him when they could not survive. He would like to see how they could live. Ding Zhou and his wife temporarily moved into a barren house close to the village. Many villagers showed sympathy and gave them some food. But it depended on them how they were going to survive. Miss Fong did not like 5th Grandma Ding, but she felt sorry for Ms. Zhou and Ding Zhou. Though she kept saying that it was their own fault for being weak that they were in this state now. Yet that was their personality, which could not be changed easily. It was, after all, the old grandma of the Ding family who had caused all of these. Miss Fong took a small pot, 2 sets of bowls and chopsticks, a wooden bucket, some rice, noodles, vegetables, oil, salt, and a dozen eggs from home, and asked Mrs. Su and Yang Xiaoni to send the things to the couple. They were rich enough to spare some stuff, and Miss Fong was very generous. She said to Qiao Xian and smiled. "You don't need to go over, it is really filthy there." Miss Fong apparently was favoring Qiao Xian, and if the other daughter-in-laws of hers were stingy enough, they would get angry as to why they were told to go, but not Qiao Xian. But Miss Su and Yang Xiaoni did not find it wrong, let alone having anything against that. But Qiao Xian felt a bit guilty about it. She felt that it was not so good when her mother-in-law showed the bias so blatantly. "It is fine, Mom. I can go and see them." Qiao Xian smiled and picked up the basket of eggs. Miss Fong believed that she was just curious. She smiled. "All right then, you can go and check it if you want to." Qiao Xian really wanted to have a look at the couple. Ding Zhou and Ms. Zhou as well as their son had broken their relationship with 5th Grandpa Ding, and their life must be hard. Ms. Zhou was not very healthy and they had a 3-year-old to take care of. Qiao Xian and Ding Xiang exchanged a few words and they wondered when Ms. Zhou and Ding Zhou would manage to get back to their feet. She wanted to go and visit them, so if she asked them for help later, the proposal would not be so sudden. When Qiao Xian and her team arrived, the villagers were there too. They were all curious about how such a thing happened because it had never happened in decades in the village. At this moment, Ding Zhou and Ms. Zhou had already got many things piled up in their house, which were all gifts from the villagers. They had even repaired the house with wood and straws. Chapter 246. 5th Grandpa Ding's grudge. The vegetables sent by others were all vegetables produced in the field, and at most 1 bowl of rice, or a bowl of leftovers was added. Seeing that Miss Fong and her family was so generous, who had given rice and noodles, it would add up to 10 kilograms. There were more than a dozen eggs, so they were all shocked. "You are so generous, Miss Fong. There are eggs too. Oh, they are so rich." They all turned to Qiao Xian subconsciously, and thought without any hesitation. The first section of the Qiao family had a very rich daughter-in-law, so they were offering so much. "I am just here visiting you all," Miss Fong smiled, feeling both proud and happy. Her daughter-in-law was not only rich, generous but also very good at making money. But she needed to keep a low profile, otherwise they were all going to be even more jealous. Ms. Zhou and Ding Zhou were shocked. Ms. Zhou shed tears. "Miss Fong, this is so generous of you. We have eggs, just keep them for the child." Miss Fong patted Ms. Zhou's hands, feeling a bit sorry for her who looked pale and skinny as well as the starved boy next to her. Ms. Zhou felt her heart break, and could not turn down her offer. "Thank you," she sobbed. They could not help but console her, seeing her shedding tears. When it started to get late, they all went home to make food. Miss Qiao and Miss Fong left as well. Miss Fong added, "We are all living in the same village. If you ever need any help, just tell us, don't be shy." Ms. Zhou and Ding Zhou nodded and sobbed. "Thank you so much, Miss Fong." When everyone else was gone, the small house was quiet again. Ms. Zhou and Ding Zhou felt so sorrowful and relaxed as well. But they seemed to have seen hope ahead. Ding Zhou said, "I will go and dig a field tomorrow. I will not allow you two to get hungry. We will get better, little by little." Ms. Zhou nodded and sounded nasal. But Ding Xiang, her daughter was gone, forever. Ms. Zhou could not help but sob. "Don't cry," Ding Zhou patted her on her shoulders, and could not stop shedding tears too. He regretted having lived like this for the past few years. Yet it was too late to think about this now. No matter what else he could do, his daughter was gone, forever. 5th Grandpa Ding was also aware that the fellow villagers had delivered some things to Ding Zhou and his wife, but he did not stop them. It would have made him look too cruel. But they would not deliver any food to them because they would not bend down for them. Fifth Grandpa Ding felt a bit annoyed. He did not like it when Ding Zhou and Ms. Zhou had no idea what they ought to do. They should not be blamed for Ding Xiang's disappearance. It was Ding Xiang's fault that she was gone. She was a grandchild who should have obeyed her grandparents' words rather than do everything on her own. She not only countered them, but also humiliated them. Also, she did not listen to his suggestions. Worse, she ran away from the ancestral hall and ended up dead. So what? It was all her fault. Chapter 247 Kind-hearted. It was completely her fault. Ding Zhou had been obedient for so many years, but he countered them so fiercely. The whole family had become just too troublesome. At the first section of the Shao family. When Xiao Xian and Shao Yunduan went back to their own room, Xiao Xian sighed to Shao Yunduan. Ms. Zhou and her family are so pitiful. I would like to help them. Shao Yunduan frowned. His wife was too kind-hearted. He understood that she was feeling sorry for them, and she would feel bad if she did not offer them some support. Shao Yunduan asked. What is your plan? Fifth Grandpa Ding is a stubborn man, and Fifth Grandma Ding is absolutely unreasonable. If Uncle Zhou and his family live a bad life, then they would be forgotten gradually, but if their lives get better while they are still here in the village, I am afraid that there will be more trouble in the future. I don't want them to trouble you. It was never a good thing to get involved with Fifth Grandma Ding and Fifth Grandpa Ding. Xiao Xian smiled in return. Don't worry, I know what to do. My plan is to ask Uncle Zhou if they are interested in shifting and helping us take care of the field at the Zhang village. In this way, they should be far away from Fifth Grandpa Ding's family as well. Shao Yunduan's eyes sparkled as he grinned. That is a good idea. Don't worry, let's just follow this plan. Xiao Xian nodded. She needed to conduct the plan gradually. Also, they wondered if Ding Zhou and Ms. Zhou had their own thoughts for the future. They should not disturb their plan either. Xiao Xian felt a bit tired after spending 2 days in the mountains. She planned to make lipsticks in the floral field at home in the near future. Ms. Su and Yang Xiaoni were still removing weeds, hence, only Xiao Xian and Xiao Taotao were busy making lipsticks. As for Xiao Xiaoqi, he had just run into the mountains alone for a walk. He was used to running in the hills. Despite being young, he was very rich in experience, so no one stopped him. In the evening, after Ms. Su and all left, Xiao Xian went to the floral field alone. She had a basket with her. She had told the family about getting the wolfberry sprout home for frying. But in fact, she was there to pour in her superpower. The pomegranate flowers would not bloom until some days later, but Xiao Xian could not wait. She wanted to use the flowers to make lipsticks, and she needed to use her superpower to hasten the process. Also, she was going to try and make the tea trees grow. She concentrated hard and her superpower moved with her heart. An invisible energy wave spread out layer by layer like ripples on the water surface. Under her control, all of them went in the direction she wanted. A quarter of an hour later, Xiao Xian relaxed and let out a sigh of relief. She looked at the pomegranate flowers, bright and red hanging on the branches of the trees. Most of them had already bloomed. By the time she came tomorrow, they would all bloom. Apart from these, there were new flowers that were yet to bloom. Those transplanted tea saplings had also taken root and the leaves were green. They were full of energy, and there was no slack in the slightest. Satisfied, Xiao Xian hummed and went to pick the wolfberry sprouts. She picked up a small patch of wolfberry, which was growing brightly. The sprouts had spread and the wolfberries were ready. Chapter 248 Xiao Xian's bad feelings. Within a short while, Xiao Xian filled in half a basket and left the remaining ones for frying. They would be made to cook egg and wolfberry sprouts. After she left the floral field, she ran into Ms. Zhang from the second section of the family. Xiao Xian smiled and called out second sister-in-law out of politeness, when Ms. Zhang reacted with a smile. What a coincidence, fifth sister-in-law. Yes. Xiao Xian nodded and smiled. Bye. Hey, fifth sister-in-law. Ms. Zhang stopped her and looked at her basket. The wolfberry is very fresh. Xiao Xian confusedly let out a response. Ah, yes. She wondered what Ms. Zhang wanted to say. Ms. Zhang smiled. It looks so fresh. I heard that you have many wolfberry sprouts planted in your floral field. Maybe I can go inside and get some as well. Xiao Xian, wolfberry sprouts were not precious things, and she had many in the field. There were still a whole bunch left. Theoretically speaking, she should have said yes to this second sister-in-law. However, Ms. Zhang was from the second section of the family, and she did not want her to see what was inside the floral field. She could not let her see the lipstick tubes, the bee boxes or the trees including the tea trees. Xiao Xian smiled. I can share half of it with you. You are so generous. I like you so much. Ms. Zhang smiled and added. But I don't want to just take your things. I can pick them up myself. I would like to see what your floral field is like. Fifth sister-in-law, you won't be so stingy as not to let me in, right? Xiao Xian got disgusted. Ms. Zhang was trying to morally kidnap her. She would be stingy for not letting her in? Then okay. Second sister-in-law, I have got all the wolfberry sprouts and the wolfberries inside aren't big enough for the sprouts to come out. If you want, you can have mine in the basket. Alright, that is fine. Ms. Zhang was a sneaky person. She had wanted to take them, but she did not want to just take the stuff. She wanted to get a look at the whole floral field. But I just want to see your floral field, why not let me in? I see the elder sister-in-law, third sister-in-law, and Tao Tao keep going inside. Maybe I can help you too. Xiao Xian's face sank. No thanks, they are enough. Fifth sister-in-law. I always ask Mom for approval. How about you asking her what she thinks? Ms. Zhang got stuck. Miss Fong would never approve of this request. She knew very well that Miss Fong was sneaky and stingy. Ms. Zhang smiled staggered. We can talk about this later, Xiao Xian smiled politely. Okay, I need to go now. Bye. With that, she left. Ms. Zhang saw Xiao Xian going away and her face sank. She was not pleased at all. Bah! She spat on the ground and mumbled. What are you putting on an act for? Chapter 249. Dumbfounded Ms. Zhang was not interested in Xiao Xian's floral field. She just wanted to get close to Xiao Xian. If she was able to persuade Xiao Xian to let her work for her, she could earn 10 won a day easily, which would be great for her. But she also understood that the likelihood of it happening was very small. Hence, she thought about borrowing money from Xiao Xian. Her brother's wife was soon going to give birth to a baby, and they needed money. But her mother-in-law was too stingy to loan her any money, so she had to come up with some other ideas. She had 2 sisters and 1 brother. The 3 sisters were all taught to treat their brother well since they were young. They were repeatedly told that the brother was the only offspring of the Zhang family. Their brother had a sweet tongue and he treated his sisters well. So the sisters were good to him too, and continued to help him even after they got married. Now his wife was going to give birth and she had to get some money and other things to help him. She had been watching Xiao Xian these days, and wanted to get close to her. But Xiao Xian barely stepped out of the house. Moreover, she was always with someone, so she never got the chance to speak with her. So Ms. Zhang went to the floral field to meet Xiao Xian, when she heard that Xiao Xian was there alone. But she was still a bit too late to run into Xiao Xian inside. Otherwise, she could just have exchanged some more words with her alone. She could even help Xiao Xian do some work at the time, so that Xiao Xian would not turn her down, if she made a small request. Also, she never expected that Xiao Xian was so blunt. She had said it so straightforwardly, and Xiao Xian should have at least approved this small request since they were in the same family. Why was she not allowed to see the floral field? But Xiao Xian just turned her down. She could also tell that Xiao Xian had no interest in speaking with her, let alone getting close to her. She needed to find another opportunity to speak with her alone. But the chance was very slim. Ms. Zhang was so annoyed that she had no idea what to do. Xiao Xian did not bother about this encounter. She was not even afraid of Ms. Niu. How could she be afraid of Ms. Zhang? What she had not expected was that second uncle and third uncle came to their home again. Both of them were very displeased. They kept blaming Xiao Xian for hiring cousins rather than them, and said that it was not at all reasonable on her part. She had promised to hire them when she had some more work to do. Xiao Xian told the others that she paid 10 won a day, which second uncle and third uncle were happy to accept. It was always good to get some payment. Xiao Xian did not turn them down. She nodded and smiled. Okay, but have you forgotten about the rakes we made for you? You can count and see how much labor you owe us. You can pay back what you owe us and then we can talk about payment. Both second uncle and third uncle were dumbfounded. They had already forgotten about the labor, but for Xiao Xian who mentioned that. How much labor was that? It was worth more than 20 days. So, they needed to work for the second section of the family for free before they were able to get paid? Chapter 250 Attitudes. How could that be possible? Second uncle immediately said, your work is your own, how can you take the shared labor as personal labor? Miss Fong took her daughter-in-law's side. She snorted. Why not? I support her. Anyone who has an opinion against that, come to me. Xiao Xian smiled. Thanks, Mom. Who would dare to speak with Miss Fong? Also, Shao Sanlang and the others in the family could tell that Xiao Xian was teasing the second and the third sections of the family, so they were glad to watch the show. Eldest uncle, who wanted to keep his face, did not dare to counter his wife, when his family took so much advantage of Xiao Xian and her dowry. Xiao Xian continued. I have rules for my work. You need to produce 20 pieces of a particular size and dimension every single day, otherwise the payment won't be given. If you want to work under such strict requirements, you can do that. Second uncle and third uncle turned pale. They had no interest in doing the labor work. They were even less willing to work 20 days for free. Shao Yunduan added. It is really hard work. We don't want you to do that, that is why we hired someone else. If we have some other easy work, we will turn to you for help. Second uncle and third uncle snorted and left. They were not interested in doing heavy labor. But they felt a bit regretful by this point. They should not have signed that paper to start with. That was not right. They felt so annoyed that they had to work for approximately 20 days for free if they ever wanted to work for Xiao Xian in the future. Miss Fong laughed. It was a great idea. If they ever want to ask for our help, we can keep bringing up this note again and again. Shao Sanlang laughed. That is really good. Eldest uncle frowned and glanced at Xiao Xian, sighing. But what? Miss Fong snapped. Isn't it good that we have rules to deal with each other? Who wants to work for free? We can offer help, but they need to pay us or make an equal return. Isn't that reasonable? We would need help as well. Miss Fong sounded so firm that eldest uncle snorted. You don't understand. Miss Fong rolled her eyes. Then you can stop talking about it. The others simply ran away when they saw an argument coming. Seeing the scene, Miss Fong left and eldest uncle was alone in the room. Eldest uncle was so annoyed. You know nothing. What were they all doing? They did not have any love for others. Eldest uncle got very annoyed and believed that it was Miss Xiao who had changed everyone's mind. But Xiao Xian's idea made the others in the family feel so motivated. They had a rooster to eat for dinner that night. Shao Xiaoqi had brought one home from the mountains. She put the chicken nuggets in a large bowl, added seasonings, dried dates, ginkgo, and lotus seeds. Then, she put them in a large pot and steamed them with water. It was the best way to keep the freshness and sweetness of the chicken, and it tasted just right. Chapter 251. Hard-working. There were many fish in the big water tank, so a big catfish was caught and stewed with eggplants. Qiao Xian also saw that the salted duck eggs she had marinated a while ago could now be eaten. They were not too salty. She peeled several of them. The snow-white egg whites and the oily orange-red egg yolks looked very tempting. Also, there were other dishes, including a plate of stir-fried wolfberry buds, wolfberry egg drop soup, cold yam slices, cold fungus, peanuts, and green peppers. It was a table full of bright colors. There was meat and vegetables, all looked very appetizing. This was the first time they ate salted duck eggs. Everyone praised them, especially the oily salted egg yolk, which everyone loved. Qiao Xian decided to buy some tofu the next time she met a tofu seller. She would cut it into finger-sized diced tofu, and fry it with salted egg yolk. The taste would be very good. The following day, Shao Dalong and the others were still going to chop mushrooms. It would mostly be done in the next 2 days. After that, they would use a saw to cut the fungus material into a suitable length, and then build a shed. With that, the fungus room would be completed. Qiao Xian, Tao Tao, Ms. Su and Yang Xiaoni continued to work in the floral field. Seeing the pomegranate tree blooming, they were all amazed. However, when the pomegranate flower bloomed, it meant that a new lipstick variety could be produced. Everyone was looking forward to it. Qiao Xian was very generous. When the lipsticks were done, she gave one to each, which was quite tempting for the ladies. Yang Xiaoni and Ms. Su helped to pick the flowers before getting down to weeding. Work hard, we will be done with the weed in a couple of days. Okay. Having exchanged a few words, they started to work hard. Qiao Xian was worried that Ms. Zhang would appear here, which might be a potential trouble. She needed to send her away. She was not going to let her in. However, Ms. Zhang did not appear. That was quite surprising. She was sure that when Ms. Zhang sucked up to her the day before, she must be planning to get something out of her. But did she give up so fast after she was turned down? Suddenly she realized that her elder sister-in-law, third sister-in-law and Tao Tao were all here, and Ms. Zhang must not want to be seen by any of them. Therefore, she did have the intention, but she also wanted to dodge the rest of the first section of the family. Qiao Xian wondered whether she was planning to borrow money from her. Ms. Zhang always took advantage of her in-laws' home, and tried very hard to move everything to her mother's house. Therefore, if she went to the first section of the family to borrow money, she would most likely be turned down. After all, she would never return it, since she intended to give away the money to her mother's home. If she could not return the money, the first section of the family would not give it. Maybe Ms. Zhang believed that if she was alone, she could be easily persuaded. Qiao Xian felt speechless. However, when Qiao Xian understood what Ms. Zhang wanted out of her, she believed that as long as she was not alone, Ms. Zhang would not ask her for money. She was not afraid of Ms. Zhang. She just did not want to get involved with her. Qiao Xian and Shao Tao Tao managed to make 24 lipsticks during the morning. It was a blended shade consisting of red and orange color, beautiful and shining like the sun, tempting and lustful. Qiao Xian gave one to each of them. Shao Tao Tao loved it. This is such a good shade. It should look good on the lips. Yes. But a bit too bright. I may not dare to put it on my lips, why not? Elder sister-in-law, you can put some and wipe off a little. The four of them talked and laughed together. Qiao Xian threw a look at the yard, and used her superpower to ripen 2 watermelons. She asked Shao Tao Tao to help her carry them home. Chapter 252. Watermelon. Let's see if they taste good at lunch. Shao Tao Tao smiled. Of course they are sweet. You planted them. Qiao Xian smiled. Your tongue is sweeter. Tao Tao smiled shyly. This watermelon was bigger than a large bowl, green in skin with dark stripes. At the knock by slightly buckled knuckles, it gave a crisp and elastic sound. Xiao Xian suddenly started drooling. She knew that the watermelons she planted would taste sweet. Miss Fong and the others in the family had never seen watermelons before. They had only heard about it from Xiao Xian. Can watermelons be eaten raw? It is so sweet. I heard about a kind of sweet melon that can be eaten raw. It is very sweet. Lu Yan's eyes widened. A watermelon? Was that a real watermelon? She did not see it wrong, did she? Did second miss manage to get watermelons? Lu Yan could not help but comment. Watermelons are precious things and we don't usually see them here. Every summer, old master can get 3 or 4. He and Madame Xiao take them as treasure. When you cut the red melon inside, there is a lot of juice and a fresh fragrance. I heard that it tastes very sweet. Lu Yan was a maid, but she worked for the county magistrate, so she did have some knowledge about unusual things. Hearing what she said, everyone looked at the watermelon with respect and treated it carefully. Is it so precious? Then it must be a good thing. We are so lucky to get a taste of it. Miss Fong asked. Miss Xiao, just save them to make money, since they are so precious. They all nodded and agreed. The farmers knew that precious things should not be ruined, but sold. That was what a farmer's family normally thought. They were already very satisfied and grateful to have been able to taste this precious thing. After all, that was something even the county magistrate believed as being precious. Xiao Xian smiled. Mom, we have many more in the yard, and soon they will be ripe during summer. We can eat them as much as we can, not as precious as you think. We have enough seeds and we can plant as many as we want. Miss Fong smiled and waved her hands. Just sell them for money, we don't want to eat them. It is fine, we have a lot of money now but we need good food. We can plant some more next year and sell them. Miss Fong laughed. Haha. As she thought about the fact that the family was not bad for money now, and watermelons could be grown in this field as Xiao Xian said, it was not too uncommon to be able to grow them in the field. So she said nothing more. But what she did not know was that Xiao Xian had used her superpower to ripen the watermelon, otherwise they would not grow this big. Normal people would not be able to get this without spending much energy, and the fruits might not have grown so well either. Honestly, watermelons attracted bugs. If it was raining during flowering and fruiting, the fruits might be dead. But for Xiao Xian, none of these was a problem. She could always dodge it successfully. Therefore, her watermelons grew well, big and numerous. Miss Fong and the family had no idea about this, so they believed what Xiao Xian said about how to plant them, and dropped the idea of thinking of them as precious. Chapter 253. Not herself. Xiao Xian placed the 2 watermelons in the cold water bucket, waiting for Shao Dalong and the others to return to have a taste. Miss Su asked Xiao Xian in a staggering voice. 5th sister-in-law, can I take some seeds to my mother's home, so they can plant some next year too? Sure. Xiao Xian nodded without hesitation. The black seeds are ripe. You can take back as many as you want. Overjoyed, Miss Su said, thanks so much, 5th sister-in-law. Miss Su felt so happy when her request was granted so easily. After lunchtime, they surrounded the table and looked at the watermelon with wide eyes. Miss Fong felt a bit nervous as she cut it. With a crisp and low sound, the watermelon burst open. The flesh of the melon was bright red, with countless black seeds inside. This watermelon was brought back from the wild. It was not the excellent variety like the modern times. There were relatively many more seeds. But the watermelon tasted much fresher too. It tastes so good. Shao Sanlang swallowed down the seeds. Yang Xiaoni licked her lips, smiling. Yes, it looks very tasty. Miss Fong threw a look at the couple, who were only out for food. She cut the watermelon into pieces and picked them up carefully. Everyone picked up a piece each and the juice filled up their mouths. The flesh was soft and the juice was abundant. The fresh sweetness instantly captured all the perceptions in the mouth. In an instant, all the cells in the mouth were mobilized, and they couldn't wait to swallow. Different voices rang in the room. I want more. Oh God, it is so tasty. Sweet and juicy, full of flesh. No wonder it is precious. So tasty. Ah, I can eat up the whole thing. They all spoke highly of the fruit and just could not stop. Even Lu Yen was given a piece. Lu Yen was so startled that she could not help but remember how it tasted after all. That was watermelon. A precious thing. Second Miss could do everything. They ate it all up except for the 2 large slices left to Xiaoqi who was in the mountains. It tasted great. Qiao Xian eventually fell in love with the taste. Sweet, fresh and drooling. In the scorching summer, at noon with the sun in the sky, eating watermelons soaked in ice-cold water was so pleasing. The watermelons had numerous seeds, but it did not hurt. Qiao Xian did not want to sell them, but there were many of them at home, and they could not finish them alone. She was not giving this fruit to anyone else. Her father-in-law no longer mentioned giving it to the other sections of the family, though he had that intention. Qiao Xian ignored him conveniently. Shen had already made the plan about how to sell the watermelons. She intended to visit Mingren Tang in a couple of days and talk to manager Qin about it. Maybe the watermelons and tea leaves could be sold through them. She herself would never show up to do so. Otherwise, Officer Qiao and Madame Qiao would get a clue. Chapter 254. Not returning. Thinking that even her parents were not able to eat these precious things throughout the summer, Qiao Xian could not help but feel glad. She was going to sell the watermelons at a high price to some rich people, someone like her parents. Ding Zhou and Ms. Zhou were not living a good life. The water and field had been opened by someone else and Ding Zhou was left with barren land. He had no money to buy a field. He could earn a little bit by opening a few mu, and when he had more money, he could sign a contract. But no one would expect to give the money in advance. At this rate, they would definitely starve. Opening fields was not easy, especially when the weed was growing so crazily. Their son was only 3 years old and he could not be away from his parents, but Ms. Zhou did not want her husband to work alone. She was anxious too. 2 of them were very slow, but one person alone could not finish the work. Half of the year had already passed. Now, they needed to hurry up to open up wasteland, plant some taro, soybeans. They hoped to rush into harvest before winter came. If it was delayed, there would be no harvest in autumn and winter. Then, what would they do? They had already made the plan. In autumn and winter, they would go up into the mountain to dig yam, and in autumn, there were wild chestnuts, date in the mountains too. They could dig mushrooms too. They would probably ask the first section of the Shao family to see what they could eat. Also, Ding Zhou would chop some wood and sell it in the town. In this way, they might be able to buy some thick clothes and food for winter. It was so difficult to live through these days. But they would not regret this life which they had chosen. They were going to continue to persevere no matter what. The couple had to bring their son along for the wasteland opening. They put the son under the tree and started to work. The 3-year-old was so naughty that he kept playing with mud, stones, weeds, and when he was fed up with it, he ran around. Ms. Zhou had no choice but throw away the shovel to catch her son. Ms. Zhou felt so tired that she had to carry the son on her back all the time. In this way, she could catch him whenever he tried to run away. But the sun was too strong for the son, so he got sunstroke, and developed a fever during the night. The couple got so frightened that Ms. Zhou almost passed out. Ding Zhou tried to borrow some money from his parents to visit a cheap doctor, but 5th Grandma Ding and 5th Grandpa Ding refused to give him money. 5th Grandpa Ding told him that he should apologize first before being given the money, and make the promise that he would never rebel against them again. Otherwise, he would get no money at all because he was not part of the family and could not get anything from him. Ding Erzu's heart was broken. He had respected his parents for more than 30 years and that was what he got. His parents threatened him with his 6 sons' life. If he returned to the family, he would be humiliated to death. His wife and his son would suffer even more. Ding Erzu turned away without looking back. He had his teeth clenched and knocked at the door of the first section of the Shao family. Chapter 255 Ideas. He did not want to cause trouble to Ms. Fong, but the first section of the Shao family must be the only people who would be willing to help them, under such circumstances. Ms. Fong was a kind-hearted person and her family was capable enough to help them. The other families might offer vegetables, bowls of rice, but never money. Hearing what he said, Ms. Fong was startled and loaned him 50 yuan immediately. Ding Erzu thanked her with tears in his eyes and hired the doctor from the next village overnight. Luckily, the boy was not seriously sick. He drank some medical herb soup and by lunchtime the following day, the body temperature dropped. Although it arose a little bit later, yet eventually, it dropped after 1 day. The couple guarded the boy throughout the whole night and did not dare to move away. They felt as if the sky had fallen down. Ms. Fong and Ms. Qiao visited them the first day, and came to see them again the next day. They had some food with them, including some vegetables and the rooster that Shao Xiaoqi had hunted. Xiao Xian even brought a big watermelon for the child to eat, but she told them not to feed the child too much at one go. Ding Erzu and Ms. Zhou felt really grateful. Ding Erzu almost kneeled down to kowtow to Ms. Fong, who asked Ms. Zhou to help him up. Ding Erzu wiped his eyes and said, "Ms. Fong, you are such a great family. We will never be able to pay back for what you have done for us. Please, tell us whenever you need us to do anything. We are strong people and we will pay you back in our next life too." Ms. Fong sighed. "Just drop it. We are living in the same village. You two are diligent people and you will definitely have a good life." Ding Erzu and Ms. Zhou nodded hesitantly, accepting Ms. Fang's good intention. But they really could not imagine what on earth their future would be. Would they get better? They just could not see any hope. Ms. Fong and Xiao Xian exchanged a look, as Ms. Fong coughed and said, "You can't go on like this. The boy is too small to leave you, and you have nothing here, and you won't make it through winter. I have an idea, would you like to listen?" Ms. Fang's words hit Ding Erzu and Ms. Zhou's hearts. That was exactly what they were worried about. Hearing what Ms. Fong said, the couple looked suddenly motivated. Ms. Zhou said, "Ms. Fong, you are a nice person, please tell us what ideas you have. If you can help us, we will be really grateful." Ding Erzu nodded. The couple looked at Ms. Fong expectantly. Ms. Fong knew of Qiao Xian's good fields at the Zhang village, and it was Qiao Xian's proposal in the beginning. So she thought about this and believed that it was a good idea. She knew about this couple. They were both very honest and down-to-earth people. Moreover, their child was so pitiful. They could help Qiao Xian to guard the fields, and could also live a better life themselves. Ms. Fong told them about this, but asked them to keep the secret. Qiao Xian was the daughter of the county magistrate. When Ding Erzu and Ms. Zhou heard about the fields, they did not find it strange. They assumed that those fields were just the dowry. They knew all about keeping the secret. The Shao family had their own problems. The second and the third section of the family were greedy for Qiao Xian's properties, and hence, Qiao Xian needed to keep it a secret. Chapter 256 Nosy. The couple got overjoyed and could not wait to immediately implement the plan. "Don't worry, we will work hard and watch the fields, and we will never reveal anything to anyone." Ms. Zhou sobbed. "I really have no idea what to say," Qiao Xian smiled. "I need to hire someone to watch over the fields anyway. We know you well and trust you. Some land officers can be sneaky and the business may not be so easy. So, please, second Uncle Ding, I will check the fields every 15 days, the rest will be in your hands. Ding Zhou panicked a little, feeling nervous and anxious. He had never watched over any fields before, and he had no idea whether he would be able to do a good job at it. But he cherished this opportunity that no one else had got. Also, for his family who had already fallen in despair, it was an excellent thing. I will be fully devoted. When the deal was done, Xiao Xian told them with a smile that they should move there early, in fact the next morning. She asked them to wait outside the village. She and Shao Yunduan would take the bull there and pick them up. Since the deal was a secret, no one from the village should see them together. Ms. Zhou and Ding Zhou nodded. As the couple said bye to Ms. Qiao and Ms. Fang, both of them felt a huge load off their chests. They were highly motivated. Good, this is good. Yeah. Ms. Fang and her whole family are nice people. We have to work hard. Yes, of course. At 5th Grandpa Ding's home. 5th Grandpa Ding heard about Ding Xiaoshi's fever getting better and let out a sigh of relief. But then, he felt even more annoyed. He believed that the Shao family should not get involved with them. But for the Shao family, he might have forced Ding Zhou and his wife to come back home. As of now, he looked like the ruthless one. Nosy family. They are burning their money. 5th Grandpa Ding complained and asked 5th Grandma Ding to take 10 eggs, several kgs of rice and some beans, eggplants and chilies to visit Ding Zhou and his family. Just go and check on them. They are still part of the Ding clan. 5th Grandma Ding snorted unhappily but did not counter him. Yes, they should not be too cruel because the villagers were spreading all sorts of rumors. But it was their fault. It was her second son and his weird family who knew nothing better. They were weirdos who pretended to be honest and obedient. They were actually the opposite. This matter should not have become such a big deal. 5th Grandma Ding got so annoyed whenever she thought about this. Visit them? Give them food? No way. They don't deserve the eggs. They will never get any food from us. 5th Grandma Ding snapped and took 4 eggs out of 10, and scooped out a bowl of rice. After that, she left for Ding Zhou's residence with the eggs, rice and vegetables. The watermelon was sweet, red and juicy. When Ms. Qiao and Ms. Fang left, Ms. Zhou asked Ding Zhou to cut it open and feed Ding Xiaoshe. Ding Xiaoshe loved it and smiled brightly. The couple tasted it too and praised it highly. Chapter 257 How dare he? What is this watermelon? It tastes so good. Yeah, they are so generous and friendly. Ms. Zhou even remembered what Xiao Xian had said. She mentioned specifically that they should not give their son too much of this fruit. So the 3 of them ate half and kept the rest for the evening. Xiao Xian also said that cut watermelon could not be eaten the next day, otherwise it would turn rotten and cause diarrhea. 5th Grandma Ding arrived after they ate some watermelon. The moment she walked in, the warm air of the room turned cold. The family had a bad look on their faces, including Ding Xiaoshe. 5th Grandma Ding glared at them and snorted. What are you staring at me for? Not calling me? Ms. Zhou's lips moved and then she turned away. She was silent, saying nothing as she bit the lips. Calling her? The whole family was a pack of beasts, they were not people. Ding Zhou opened his mouth but uttered no sound. He was used to being ordered around by his mother, and he subconsciously was going to address her as mother. Yet when he thought of how his family was treated, he stopped himself. You ungrateful people. 5th Grandma Ding said angrily, I am bringing you food and you are treating me like this? You are not even calling me mother? Ding Zhou sneered. I have moved out of the family and kowtowed to you. I can't call you mother. I can't afford to call you mother. You, 5th Grandma Ding shivered out of anger as she pointed at Ms. Zhou and said, You bitch. You must have told him to do so. My son used to be an obedient person but after he married you, everything changed. You bitch must have told him to behave like this. You have caused so much trouble to my son. Are you satisfied by what you have got now? You will have to pay for your deeds. I am going to pay for my deeds. Ms. Zhou screamed. I can bear the payment, but will you be able to bear the consequences? Are you afraid? How dare you? Fifth Grandma Ding continued to snap and started to roll up her sleeves to hit Ms. Zhou. You bitch. Ding Zhou suddenly stopped her and responded with a sunk face. Just go home, you don't have to take care of us. Also, we don't need your stuff. Just take it back with you. Fifth Grandma Ding looked at Ding Zhou with disbelief. Her lips were shivering but she just could not utter a sound. Her son was always obedient and did not dare to disobey her. She never believed that him moving out of the family was a big deal. She never thought that an obedient person like him would ever achieve anything good. He was just a stupid coward who would make no big deal after he moved out. She thought that he would always want to return and beg her. But it was not until this moment did she realize that she was wrong. How dare this coward say things like this? I am going to see how much further you are going to last. How are you going to survive? I will wait and see. Don't blame me for not taking care of you. Ding Zhou turned around and tried to hold his misery. His mother never liked him because he knew that he was not pleasing enough. But what he had not expected was that his mother would treat him like this. Fifth Grandma Ding sneered and was about to leave, when she saw Ding Xiaoshu bending over the short table, trying to put some melon with seeds into his mouth. Chapter 258. Confused no longer. Ms. Zhou saw that too. She went to catch her son and pacified him. Just calm down, we will eat it later. The sweet scent of melon spread around. Fifth Grandma Ding could not help but swallow down her saliva. She could not help but ask. What is that thing? Where did you get it from? Ms. Zhou became vigilant and snapped. Ms. Fong gave it to Shi, a watermelon found in the mountains. No one had ever seen a melon in the village, nor had anyone heard about melons at the Shao family's yard, so Ms. Zhou thought that the melon was found in the mountain by Shao Xiaoqi. Fifth Grandma Ding snorted but could not move her eyes away from the watermelon. Ding Xiaoshi's fingers had dug out a piece, and the sunk part was filled with watermelon juice, which made it look really tasty. Fifth Grandma Ding wanted to have a taste of it but she did not want to say it. The truth was that she was drooling already. In the past, Ding Zhou would have cut a generous part and given it to her, but Ding Zhou and Ms. Zhou showed no reaction now. Fifth Grandma Ding snapped, when she could not ask for it openly. They always bring a lot of things home, but watch out, they eat mushrooms that kill people. This must be a horrible thing too. Ding Zhou and Ms. Zhou got angry. Ms. Zhou said in a trembling voice, "It is none of your business." Ms. Fong was so friendly and they had accepted her offer. They did not need to hear any comments from others. Ms. Zhou mustered up her courage to counter her mother-in-law. Fifth Grandma Ding got annoyed and snapped at Ms. Zhou. Ding Zhou could not stand that any more and dragged her out. Fifth Grandma Ding shouted some more and finally left. She mumbled. Heartless people, don't even let me have a taste of it. She could not help but feel like tasting it. Just, don't take what she said to your heart, Ding Zhou mumbled. Ms. Zhou sneered. I used to be stupid, but I will not be foolish anymore. Ding Zhou was stuck speechless. Fifth Grandma Ding rushed home in anger and when Fifth Grandpa Ding saw the things brought back intact, he snapped. Why are you bringing them back? Fifth Grandma Ding sneered. They are hanging out with Ms. Fong. They don't want our things. They just turned me down. Do you think I should have still pushed it to them? Fifth Grandpa Ding was startled. How could that be possible? Why not? Fifth Grandma Ding sneered. Maybe you can have a try. Fifth Grandpa Ding fell in silence. He sighed. How could it have become like this? The following day, the first section of the Shao family ate breakfast. Afterwards, Shao Tao Tao took Ms. Su and Yang Xiaoni into the floral field for lipsticks. Qiao Xian and Shao Yunduan went on the bull cart and fetched Ding Erzhu and his family, so that they could all head towards the Zhang village. After the wheat was cropped, Qiao Xian had not seen the field but had long planned to. It was just the right time. There was no house built there, so Qiao Xian went to the land officer and paid the bill for Ding Erzhu and his family to settle for the time being. Chapter 259 Fields. Qiao Xian had bought 5 mu of fields. She still needed to build a yard and plant some stuff. Since Ding Erzhu and his family were here, a simple house could be built first for them to settle down. Qiao Xian needed to make a good plan about how to build the yard. They could have 3 wooden rooms built for his family. Before winter arrived, she was going to have a large house in the huge yard built for Ding Erzhu and his family, who should be used to the work by that time. Everyone was eating at the Zhang village. Zhang Xiaofeng and Zhang Chunlai came to greet them happily upon hearing the news. It was always Shao Yunduan who dealt with guests. In this era, women were always looked down upon and could not keep control of the situation. For another, Shao Yunduan was the cultivated talent who would subconsciously attract some respect from outsiders. Thirdly, since Shao Yunduan usually had no expression on his face, he looked very intimidating. Shao Yunduan glanced at the couple and greeted them, introducing them to Ding Erzhu and Ms. Zhou. This is my uncle and aunt-in-law, and they will be living here from today on. They would be in charge of the business here. You know this place well, so please take good care of them. Upon hearing the words, the faces of Zhang Chunlai and the other 3 people changed, especially the 2 women, who could not conceal their expressions. Okay, don't worry, boss. Yes, we will definitely take good care of them. When Zhang Xiaofeng and Zhang Chunlai were asked to temporarily watch over the renters, the couple, and everyone in their family, was really pleased. They were also tenants, but the tenants in charge were different from other renters. Ordinary renters always sucked up to the ones in charge. They even tried to have competition among themselves, trying to find a winner. But they soon realized that they did not have to have competition between themselves anymore, because the boss relatives had appeared in front of them, and they themselves had fallen into the stage of ordinary tenants. They had no way to compete with them. They could just offer some help to this new uncle, who barely had any idea about the situation here. If he could say some good words in front of the boss, then it would be great. As they thought about this, they felt slightly better. Shao Yunduan asked the couple to eat lunch at the land officer's family together. The couple nodded and agreed. Their wives were not supposed to eat along with them, so they said hello and left. After lunch, Shao Yunduan and Qiao Xian took Ding Erzhu, under the guidance of Zhang Chunlai, for the trip to the field, showing the rice cultivation. Crops were farmers' life, and everything related to grain was critical for the tenants throughout the whole year, so everyone took good care of the crops and the land. Qiao Xian had used her superpower to make the crops grow secretly. Though there was no big difference, the rice would definitely grow stronger, better and not bug-ridden. Those long, soft leaves were dangling, looking really beautiful and radiant, so lively that Qiao Xian felt very satisfied. Soon, Qiao Xian bid farewell to Zhang Chunlai and his partner. As she was talking, the 2 of them nodded whilst glancing at Shao Yunduan. Qiao Xian could not help but laugh. In other people's eyes, Shao Yunduan was the real boss, whilst she was just the boss wife. Chapter 260 Words. After all, what did women know? Shao Yunduan said, "My wife says that you can go home now since everything here is sorted. All you need to remember is that you have to listen to my wife's orders, and to take care of the fields whilst helping my uncle with the work, and you will be treated well." These words were exactly what Zhang Chunlai and his family needed to hear. Feeling assured, Zhang Chunlai smiled and said some flattering words, before leaving politely. Ding Erzhu let out a sigh of relief and wiped the sweat on his forehead. He laughed bitterly. "Nephew, am I going to be in charge of these tenants? I am not very sure about it. What if I ruin your business? I will, Uncle Zhou, don't worry about it. Xiao Xian smiled. Actually, the tenants take good care of their respective fields. All you need to do is to stay here and guard them, in case they cause some trouble. You can leave the rest to the others. If you need anything or run into anything that is not good, just tell us about it. Shao Yunduan nodded. Yes, what you need is to stay here so that the tenants would be careful about their work. It was their food they were taking care of. Ding Zhu felt slightly better and smiled. Oh, that will work. What Shao Yunduan and Xiao Xian had not expected was that Ding Zhu had come up with a different idea. What he interpreted was that he did not need to take care of the fields, because the tenants would take care of the crop themselves, and that what he needed to do was to watch their moves. In case if there were any rows, or lack of diligence, tricks etc., he should reveal them to Xiao Xian and Shao Yunduan about the strangeness. What they did not expect was that due to Ding Zhu's habit of watching the tenants, he got a deep understanding of what those tenants were like, because of which, in future, Xiao Xian and Shao Yunduan would dodge a huge crisis accidentally. Is this the only thing I need to do? Anything else? Just leave it all to me. Ding Zhu added. It seemed that he had taken a huge advantage of the couple and that made him feel unbalanced. Xiao Xian thought for a while and smiled. We are going to see the land where the houses are going to be built. If you have time, you can help me work on the land. Ding Zhu's eyes sparkled and he smiled. Sure, no problem. Xiao Xian avoided Zhang Chunlai because she was worried that the tenants would keep the secret even if they met them. So they should be kept away. In this way, when Ding Zhu was introduced to the tenants, Ding Zhu's influence would be set up. Otherwise those two people would look like Ding Zhu's guides. They met several tenants who talked about their situation. Xiao Xian felt slightly better knowing that nothing serious happened during this period. Later, the three of them went to visit the land they had bought. That land was close to the Zhang village, located at the foot of a mountain, which had a few small hills. That was where the house for Ding Zhu's family would be built. Xiao Xian gestured with her hands and said that the new house would take up 3 mu and the remaining 2 mu will be the hill, which could be developed into a crop yard. Xiao Xian gave Ding Zhu 5 liang to settle down, which included the money for building the house. Chapter 261 assured the cooking utensils, rice and flour and daily necessities were bought. They could buy vegetables themselves, and also could raise chickens and ducks. In this way, they would be able to settle down properly. 5 liang could make them buy a lot. The family could easily live on it for 3 or 4 months. Ding Zhu did not turn the money down. He had nothing in his hands. Feeling burdened, he sobbed as he held the money in his palm. Nephew and niece-in-law, please count it against our salary. We can't ask you for any more money. Xiao Xian smiled. In that case, count 2 liang out of it as wages. The house building is not counted. When the house is torn down at the end of the year, we can still use the wood. A piece of wood with a width of 30 centimeters and a thickness of 2 centimeters cost less than 21. 3 taels of silver, including labor and roof, was enough to cover a simple wooden house for their family of 3. Ding Zhu nodded and agreed. They could start a family and live frugally in that 2 liang. Luckily, it was still summer and they did not need to care about heating yet. Xiao Xian decided to pay them 1 liang a month, and with the first 2 months excluded, the salary would be given starting from the 3rd month. Ding Zhu was startled, saying that it was too much and refused to accept it. Xiao Xian smiled. Just take it. I have a lot of work for you to do in the future. You will know soon. By that time, if you think that I pay you too little, feel free to tell me. Shao Yunduan added. Please take it. The money isn't much when you realize how much work you need to do. We are paying others on our payroll, the same money. Ding Zhu had to accept it since he failed to turn it down. Okay. But don't worry, I will watch over the fields for you diligently. After Shao Yunduan and Xiao Xian left, Ding Zhou told Ms. Zhou about the money, who cried. I miss my Ding Xiang. She was such a nice child, I wish I had. I had, Ding Zhou replied with a pale face. It was my fault. Ms. Zhou felt sorry for him and shook her head. No, it is not. Anyway, let's just drop it, the couple sobbed, looking at each other for a while. Xiao Xian felt her heart feel lighter when she was done with this. Zhang Chunlai was not part of her family and she had no time to train her employees. So she hoped that Uncle Zhou and his wife should be able to do that well on her behalf. After 3 days, Shao Yunduan would go to the college for discussions with his fellows and teachers. Xiao Xian told him about going into town with him, so she could visit Manager Qin at Mingren Tang to talk about tea leaves and watermelons. Shao Yunduan did not turn her down, but he still felt quite worried. At that time, you should stay at Mingren Tang and not run about. Manager Qin is our friend, and he won't set us up. Feeling warmed, Xiao Xian smiled. Don't worry, I won't wander around. Manager Qin would not be able to set me up so easily. Shao Yunduan smiled and nodded. The following day, Xiao Xian continued to work on the lipsticks in the floral field. Soon the Yuezhing family should come to fetch the goods. She was going to stop the work of lipsticks after she had 1,200 pieces ready. Xiao Xian did not foresee that Yuezhing Shao would come to the village personally and that Xie Jingrong would be with him too. Chapter 262 Yuezhing Shao. Here Yuezhing Shao and Xie Jingrong took the lipsticks home, but they were not even enough to share with their own families. All of them felt so attracted to the novel things. The lipsticks looked beautiful and were handy to use. There was a small scent of flowers that drew women's attention completely towards it. Young ladies and madams were all so happy to have them. Those who had not gotten anything kept asking the two of them about where to get more of these. They were ready to pay whatever amount. Xie Jingrong had expected that girls would take to this thing, but he had not thought that they would be so attracted by it. He was troubled by his sisters the whole day. He entrusted Yuezhing Shao with the work. It was his business anyway. Yuezhing Shao was both happy and troubled. The way lipsticks were received fell beyond his anticipation. Those ladies were all greedy for the lipsticks and they did not care about the cost. What they wanted was to simply get it. This was going to be a huge business. But Xiao Xian was the supplier, and she needed to be able to give him enough goods. After telling his sisters and his sisters' friends and relatives, Yuezhing Shao used his own money to start the business. He rented the stores, hired workers, and booked tubes as well as followed the secret instructions given by Xiao Xian, trying to keep the whole thing from leaking to anyone. The Yuezhing family was also quite complicated. They had 2 sections of the family. He ranked third and belonged to the first section of the family. His elder brother was the lineal grandchild of the whole family. But his father ran into an accident 5 years ago, and he was so badly injured that he was still convalescing in the wingyard. His mother was so worried about him that she spent the whole time taking care of him. His elder brother was in charge of the business line in the northwest, and he barely spent any day at home. When the first section of the family was confronted with such a situation, the second section of the family started to get ambitious. Especially when he heard about some gossip from his father's generation. His second aunt-in-law, namely Ms. Mi Jr., was the niece of his grandma Ms. Mi Sr.'s family, but his grandma took her home and hence, she grew up with grandma. Ms. Mi Jr. was ambitious and intended to seduce his father, but he turned her down. He told his grandpa about arranging a martial connection for her. Hearing that his father was going to establish a martial arrangement for her, Ms. Mi Jr. took the risk and planned to get herself pregnant. However, his father had always been cautious against her, and did not fall for the trick. However, his second uncle ended up falling in the honey trap. Grandma got so angry that she almost passed away when she knew what happened. Her niece had become a woman who seduced a man, and worse, that man was her son. If she revealed the news to the public, she would be totally humiliated. However, second uncle did not propose marriage to Ms. Mi Jr. But Ms. Mi Jr. tried to convince him, and the couple kneeled down in front of his grandparents, begging for the marriage. But Grandpa turned down Ms. Mi Jr.'s proposal of becoming the lineal wife. She had used a terrible method to come into the family before the lineal son got married, which was quite disgusting. Therefore, Grandpa sent her back to her own family, and arranged a martial arrangement for his father, who married his mother. 3 months after his mother was married to the family, Ms. Mi Jr. managed to become second uncle's wife. His mother had no idea about what she did earlier, and she kept sucking up to her, so his mother treated her true-heartedly. After all, they were sister-in-laws. But disasters happened. They were never on good terms with each other. Ms. Mi Jr. was always in a shadow under his mother, but she knew his grandma well. So she kept serving his grandma and sucking up to her. After a long while, his grandma started to like her more. Chapter 263 Widow's Son. Luckily, her tricks did not work on his mother, except that there was some trouble caused by her. She gave birth to 2 daughters and no son, and after she gave birth to the elder daughter, she did not get pregnant for 3 years. So his grandparents gave second uncle a concubine, who soon gave birth to 3 sons. Ms. Mi Jr. got so annoyed that she blamed the first section of the family for causing all her misfortunes. After Grandpa passed away, she kept instigating his grandma to do something. When his father had an accident and his mother took care of him, his elder brother was barely home as he was in the Northwest running business. He just did not want to go home and let Ms. Mi Jr. do whatever she wanted. The housekeeper, the accountant-in-chief as well as some important managers were all working for the first section of the family. Ms. Mi Jr. as well as the elder sister-in-law was in charge of food supply, whose account was checked every half a year. Therefore, they would not be out of the first section of the family's control. So, they did not care about the small troubles she caused. His grandma was going to pass away soon, and when she did, they would live separately. Therefore, he had already started to plan his future 2 years ago. He had been running private business these years, and the business was growing very well. After they separated in the future, he was going to integrate the business, which was sure to grow well. Therefore, how the second section of the family did had nothing to do with him. He was so surprised by how the response to the lipsticks turned out. It was going to be a huge business. He was going to open some high-end stores for cosmetics. Feeling bored and attaching great importance to this business, Shao decided to go to the county again personally. He asked Xie Jingrong whether he wanted to come along. Surprisingly, Xie Jingrong agreed and both of them went onto the wagon and headed out. Shao was very curious why his spontaneous idea was approved by Xie Jingrong. Xie Jingrong did nod at this proposal. The two of them had some pastry, tea leaves and gifts ready and started to head towards Shaoding village. The servants and the coachman had no idea about the way, so they kept asking around. They still needed to ask about where Shao Yunduan and Xiao Xian's home was. Shao's servant, Chu Shan, hopped off the wagon and looked about. Seeing an ant walking not far away, he went up and greeted her. "Please, where is Shao Yunduan, the cultivated talent's home?" The ant whom Chu Shan asked was none other than Widow Sunday. Hearing that he was asking about Shao Yunduan, Widow's son got really furious. But as she turned around and looked at the wagon, she saw Shao and Xie Jingrong. They had lifted the drapery and were looking around, chatting happily. Widow's son was not standing very close to them, but she still caught a vague look of Shao and Xie Jingrong. These 2 young masters looked so handsome, and rich too. She smiled. "Are you cultivated talent Shao's friends?" Chu Shan thought for a while and nodded with a smile. "Yes, we are." Widow's son felt even more jealous. How was Miss Fong lucky enough to get cultivated talent as her son, who had rich friends and even married a rich daughter-in-law? Widow's son felt so annoyed about Shao Yunduan. 2 years ago, her daughter Ding Qingqing told her bashfully that she wanted to marry Shao Yunduan, but Widow's son had rejected her proposal. At that time, the first section of the Shao family was under the control of the second and third sections of the family, and Shao Yunduan had not yet made it to cultivated talent, so Widow's son was not very satisfied with his family. Chapter 264 Hoax. She had not only turned down the idea, but also snapped at her daughter, telling her never to mention it again. Ding Qingqing admired Shao Yunduan and felt a bit sad about her mother's scolding, but she was an obedient girl, so she dropped the thought. However, Shao Yunduan became a cultivated talent, and the first section of the Shao family got better and better. Widow's son could not help but feel regretful. Ding Qingqing felt even worse. But he was already married, and the mother and the daughter did not mention anything about it anymore. However, the more Widow's son thought about this, the less she liked Shao Yunduan and the first section of the Shao family. Widow's son wished that they would just run into trouble. Seeing these two good-looking and well-dressed rich young masters, Widow's son came up with an idea and smiled at Chu Shan. "Come with me then." Chu Shan scratched her head and smiled. "You can just tell me where it is, you don't have to be our guide." Widow's son waved her hand as she smiled. "It is okay, we are good friends with the Shao family, we always help each other." Chu Shan felt that she was a kind-hearted person, so he thanked her and accepted the offer. Chu Shan passed on the message to his own young master and young master Xie. Yuezheng Shao did not think that was a big deal, so he asked his coachman to follow the woman. Widow's son smiled proudly. She was leading Yuezheng Shao and Xie Jingrong back to her own home. "Come off the wagon, let me tell you a story." Xie Jingrong frowned and asked Widow's Sunday, "Aunt, is it the Shao family's home?" "Just get off the wagon first, you two." Widow's son smiled brightly. She would have grabbed Xie Jingrong and Yuezheng Shao if she had been any closer. "You couldn't have known that the Shao family is going through trouble right now, and it is not very convenient for you to go there. You can have a seat at my place first, and I will tell you the details. After that I will fetch Duan here from the Shao family, okay?" "What? Trouble?" Yuezheng Shao and Xie Jingrong were startled. They were so surprised. But they would never think that they ran into someone who did not like the Shao family. Widow's son added, "Just get off the wagon, young masters. My Duan is very happy to receive you. He will be very happy to see you, and he will also be disappointed not to see you. Please, come to my house and have some water, I will help you get him here." Widow's son managed to get Yuezheng Shao and Xie Jingrong off the wagon and walk into the house. She was so happy. Yuezheng Shao and Xie Jingrong had never expected a woman they ran into on the street would make up such lies. So Yuezheng Shao, who was Qiao Xian and Shao Yunduan's partner, was very anxious. What if something stopped their deal from happening? That would be a horrible thing. Therefore, he was definitely going to meet Shao Yunduan and ask him what was going on, so he could offer some help. Widow's son guided the two men into the yard and called out, "Qingqing, we have guests. Come and serve them tea." Ding Qingqing was busy sewing shawls when she got confused and rushed outside. "What guests?" As she looked up and saw Yuezheng Shao and Xie Jingrong, Ding Qingqing could not help but feel nervous. She turned shy and lowered her head. Chapter 265 Widow's son's plan. These two young masters looked so handsome. She could not help looking at her mother, with her heart throbbing. Where did her mother get those guests? Was she trying to make a suitor for her? These two young masters were so good-looking, which one should she say yes to? She was so shy that she did not even dare to look up at them. "What are you standing here for? Go and pour the tea." Widow's son smiled and said passionately, "Come young masters, come to the room." Widow's son did have a plan. Those young masters must have come from rich families, and she was going to make them do something for her. If one of them fell for Qingqing, things would work out. If that did not happen, it was still fine. They would have no evidence about what happened inside the room. If they did not pay her well, they would not be allowed to leave. The reason why Widow's son dared to set up Yuezheng Shao and Xie Jingrong was because she looked down at Shao Yunduan. In her opinion, these two rich young masters hung out with Shao Yunduan because they were pretty, not because they were really rich, since Shao Yunduan was so poor himself. She looked at the wagon, which was very ordinary, and they only had one page boy with them. These young masters who had only little money were the easiest to take control of. Moreover, they were currently at Shaoding village and the villagers would always favor her and her daughter. They could not possibly belong to some powerful families. They would definitely have to accept everything they were told under pressure. If these two men had some accident on their trip to Shao Yunduan, then they would definitely hate Shao Yunduan and cut off their friendship with him as well. Definitely. As a result, they would refuse to hang out with him in the future. Widow's son started to imagine everything in her mind vividly. Ding Qingqing nodded as she tugged her own clothes. She glanced at Yuezheng Shao and Xie Jingrong and ran into the room with a red face. Yuezheng Shao's face changed. He put his hand over Xie Jingrong's wrist and said, "Let's leave." The two men turned around and hurried away. Xie Jingrong did not need to be reminded twice. He had noticed the strangeness of this whole thing. They were not innocent young masters. They had met so many curious and strange women. They had thought that rural women were relatively more honest, but after they walked into the yard and found these two women alone, they were worried that they were planning something nefarious, especially judging from the way the older woman was behaving. Hence, they decided to leave directly. They did not want to get involved with something weird. Widow's son had not even realized what happened, when Yuezheng Shao and Xie Jingrong already went onto the wagon and hurried away. Widow's son rushed out after them but the wagon was already far away. "You!" Widow's son snapped and stomped her feet. "Assholes!" Her plan was about to be accomplished when it was ruined. Ding Qingqing was feeling bashful and wondering which young master to pick. She quickly combed her hair, washed her face and went to pour the tea. However, when she came out with the tray, the two young masters were long gone, so was her mother. Chapter 266 Guests. Ding Qingqing was confused. She put down the tray and rushed out, asking her mother who was coming back into the house. "Mom, where are the two young masters?" Widow's son clenched her teeth and shouted angrily. "They are gone. Stupid people, just leave them alone." Ding Qingqing. "Well, didn't you invite them in?" Ding Qingqing was confused. She had thought that they were the suitors her mother had found for her. Confronted with her own daughter, Widow's son could not help but shout angrily. "Just don't mention them ever again." Ding Qingqing. She was angry, shameful and annoyed. She felt so humiliated that her eyes turned red. All she needed was to find a good suitor, but why was it so difficult? These two good ones were also gone. Seeing that no one was coming after them, Yuezheng Shao and Xie Jingrong let out a sigh of relief. Yuezheng Shao complained to Chu Shan. "Look, who you found." Chu Shan had no idea what was going on. He said with surprise on his face, "Third young master, what is wrong with that ant?" "Stupid." Yuezheng Shao said angrily, "I don't know if there is anything wrong with her, but she only has her daughter with her at home. We men should not just go in randomly." Xie Jingrong added calmly. "Men and women should not stay too close to each other. They were alone and they still invited us in. They did not have the right intention." Chu Shan was dumbfounded. "Third young master Xie, I did not do that on purpose. I really did not expect that, just be careful." Yuezheng Shao hit his head on the fan. "I will let you go if you continue to be so stupid." "Don't." "Third young master, I will be much more careful henceforth." Yuezheng Shao snorted. "One more problem, you are fired." "Ah. Okay, no, I want, please." Chu Shan continued to ask around for directions. He found two children and asked them. Women could be sneaky, and men could have other thoughts, but children would not lie, right? The two children did not lie to him. They showed the direction passionately and the carriage finally arrived at Shao Yunduan's home. Miss Fong and Lu Yan were alone taking care of the children and doing chores. Miss Fong had not seen anyone like Xie Jingrong and Yuezheng Shao before. They had a different, special air around them, and that made her feel a bit nervous. Lu Yan's eyes widened. She said with surprise, "Young Master Xie, and Young Master Yuezheng, what are you doing here?" Yuezheng Shao and Xie Jingrong were a bit hesitant when they saw the house full of women. But hearing what Lu Yan said, they were dumbfounded. "Who are you?" Yuezheng Shao was very confused, wondering who she was. Lu Yan smiled. "I am the maid working for Officer Qiao. I met you at the mansion." "Oh, okay." Both of them felt slightly assured. Maid from Officer Qiao's mansion was here, meaning that she was here with 2nd Mississippi. Then, they had come to the right place. Yuezheng Shao smiled. "We are here visiting Shao Yunduan. Is he at home?" Lu Yan smiled. "Oh, you are visiting him?" "Yes, he is studying in his room. I will fetch him now." Chapter 267 Beneficial Things. Hearing that the two men were asking for her son, Miss Fong thought that they were her son's friends he made in town. So, she smiled at them and said, "Oh, you are Yenduan's friends. Come in and sit down. Our house is very shabby, please, young masters, don't blame us for that." "Thanks." "Thank you." Yuezheng Shao and Xie Jingrong exchanged a look and felt assured. That was how people should react to them. This Ms. in front of them looked quite different from the one they met just a while ago. The two of them had just sat down, when Shao Yunduan arrived. He was startled too. He went forward and greeted them. They exchanged a few random words when Lu Yan served them tea and retired. Miss Fong took her grandchildren to the yard instead of disturbing their conversation. After a few moments, Yuezheng Shao expressed his intention of coming over. "We are just curious about where you live. Brother Shao, you just don't know how popular lipsticks have become. My sisters, cousins, and their friends are all waiting to get some more. Please, Brother Shao, does Mrs. Shao have any more available? We are going to make a huge fortune from it." Yuezheng Shao spoke vividly. Shao Yunduan finally understood what was going on. He really wondered what these two young masters were doing here all of a sudden. They needed the lipsticks. But hearing what Yuezheng Shao said, Shao Yunduan was very happy that the lipsticks were so well received. He even felt slightly proud. That was something his wife had invented. Her invention had made the ladies in the town so obsessed about it. His wife was really capable. She was excellent. Shao Yunduan nodded with a smile. "Ever since we separated last time, my wife has been busy making lipsticks with her sister-in-laws and sisters. She counted a couple of days ago, and has around 1,000 available currently." Yuezheng Shao cheered. "That is great." He had thought that they would get at most 500, or 600, 800 being the upper limit. But they had managed to make 1,000 lipsticks. That was beyond their anticipation. The second Miss of the Qiao family, Mrs. Shao, was really capable. Before he came to this place, he even thought about providing some trustworthy servants and maids for Shao Yunduan and Xiao Xian to help them with the work. But it seemed that the help was not needed. Yuezheng Shao laughed with a smile. "Brother Shao, I want them all." Shao Yunduan smiled. "Sure, but please, young Master Yuezheng, do remember not to reveal the source of the lipsticks to anyone." Shao Yunduan was not worried about the other sections of the family because Xiao Xian's industry could not be copied by either of them. But he was worried about County Magistrate Xiao and Madame Qiao. Yuezheng Shao came to their door personally and asked for the supply politely, only because the lipsticks were very popular and produced large profits. No one would refuse to get involved with any profitable business. He wasn't sure about the county magistrate, but if Madame Qiao knew that his wife was able to make so much money, she would never leave her alone. Yuezheng Shao knew clearly what those people were up to. He said calmly, "Don't worry, Brother Shao, I remember it well. I will tell my servants never to reveal a thing. And, don't call me young Master Yuezheng, just call me Brother Yuezheng instead." Chapter 268. Not enough. Apart from doing business with them, Yuezheng Shao found that Shao Yunduan and Xiao Xian were good people to get on with. They were worth being friends with. Startled, Shao Yunduan nodded. Okay, greetings, brother Yuezheng. Greetings. The three of them exchanged a few words before Xiao Xian returned. Yuezheng Shao's eyes were sparkling, as he asked politely how big the production number was. Xiao Xian smiled. Young Master Yuezheng, you can take away 1,200 lipsticks. The roses are no longer blooming, but other flowers can replace them. We will make 500 more next month. But have you got any lipstick tubes with you? Yuezheng Shao nodded and then showed the box to Xiao Xian, asking her to take it. I asked for a special design, what do you think? Then, he offered Xiao Xian some special tools that she had asked him to find. He smiled. I have completed my mission. I hope you can be satisfied, Mrs. Shao. Seeing the jade-made jars and all tools including the pestle, small hand mill, large and small beakers, funnels, filter utensils, Xiao Xian smiled. Thanks, young Master Yuezheng, you have done very well. Yuezheng Shao smiled. Great. Yuezheng Shao and Xie Jingrong both understood that they made the lipsticks in the floral fields, which should be their business secret, so neither of them proposed to visit there. Yuezheng Shao said in a joking tone that he did not need to worry about lipsticks, and that he could sell as many as he wanted. He just wondered whether she wanted to expand the scale. Xiao Xian shook her head and turned down the proposal. She did not think that it was time yet. It wasn't a very easy thing. Her superpower would urge the flowers to bloom, but if that was going to be a big business, she needed to stay away so that the business chain could develop well. For example, she needed a lot of staff to work on the whole process, which would cause a lot of trouble and which was not something she was able to do right now. Yuezheng Shao said nothing more, though he felt that it was a pity. He just told her that she should pay attention to the news, and could just buy a few maids to work for her so that the production could be increased some more. She shouldn't be restricted to her own family members. Also, she could not hire someone who was outside her control to do the work, otherwise the business secret would be revealed. That was really a neutral suggestion, which Xiao Xian had thought about as well. She expressed her gratitude. But she knew that it was not the right time yet. She needed to wait until Shao Yunduan passed the next level of the imperial exam. Please, God and Buddha, please, let her husband pass the next level in the year to come. She figured that Yuezheng Shao and Xie Jingrong would stay back for lunch. So while Shao Yunduan chit-chatted with them, Xiao Xian asked Lu Yan to help her cook some food. It was a hot day, and Xiao Xian decided to make some light dishes to serve an elegant young master like Xie Jingrong. She would avoid making chili chicken or boiled fish. He would not be used to this kind of taste. Xiao Xian hoped that the two young masters would have a good impression of her home. Chapter 269. Broad-minded brother Xiao Xian thought for a while, and instructed Lu Yan to kill the chicken. She went to the flower field to pick some wolfberry sprouts, and then to the vegetable yard to get some fresh loofah and beans. She also dug out some yams from the cellar, cut a handful of leeks, and went home. She made Lu Yan wash them all. Then, she went to the yard to pick 2 large round watermelons and let them soak in the spring water. She picked some egg-sized tomatoes. The 2 young masters were lucky. Even she herself had not eaten the ripe tomatoes yet. For lunch, she stewed chicken with boletus and Hericium arenaceus, and battered the cushion carp with a thin layer of paste and fried it in oil. After that, there were many small river prawns that were braised and baked 2 days ago. In the meanwhile, there was steamed mandarin fish, scrambled eggs with tomatoes, and loofah soup. Beans, wolfberry sprouts and yams were all served as cold dishes. She cut the beans into pieces about 2 inches long, blanched them and placed them on a plate neatly, sprinkled some salt and drizzled them with sesame oil. Wolfberry sprouts were also mixed with sesame oil, salt and vinegar after being blanched. Some seasoning and scallion slices were added to yams and wooden ears, after being blanched. It was a table full of meat and vegetable dishes. The meat dishes were clean and bright, whilst the vegetable dishes were fresh and tender. For a farmer's family, it was an extremely good lunch. Shao felt a bit bored. After being seated for too long, he went around in the yard, and Shao Yunduan kept him company. Shao laughed when he saw the spring in the backyard. "Brother Shao, you are really excellent to have got the spring. It is fun to watch." Shao Yunduan smiled. He didn't think that it was fun, just handy to use. Not far away from the spring, there was a half-man tall tank that drew their attention. Shao went forward and his eyes widened. "So many fish. You have kept so many kinds of fish which even I don't know about." Xia Jingrong also had a look and found it amazing. He could not help but feel gratified. "Yeah. I have never seen these many varieties of fish." That was true. He was a young master who had either seen the goldfish or carps, or fish being served as food. He had never seen these many kinds of strange fish that were swimming in the tank. Shao Yunduan said, "My brother got the fish from the river. We keep them alive till we can't finish them. If we feel like eating one, we will get one out and make a dish of it." "That is cool. Look at the hopping fish. They must taste really good." "Brother Shao, your home is fun." Shao could not help but feel a bit envious. Xia Jingrong raised his eyebrows and walked towards a wall. He was looking at the pots of orchids on the shabby wooden shelf in full concentration. Shao was attracted. "Wow, these are orchids, they are so lively too. Vividly growing." Shao Yunduan smiled. "These are brought from the mountains. They look beautiful, so they were planted here." Xia Jingrong sighed. "Brother Shao, you are so broad-minded. These are not ordinary orchids. These two pots are spring swords, this is the plain lotus tripod, this and this look like spring swords, but they are different, and here are the jade orchid and mullein, but they are not exactly the same. Should be a variant, I believe. Brother Shao, spring swords and plain lotus tripods are really difficult to get. These variants are so rare. Not many people are able to get one variant for one single plant throughout their whole life. Brother Shao, your flowers are worth a lot of money, judging from the leaves, shapes and colors." Chapter 270 Her Superpower. Shao Yunduan was dumbfounded. Elegant scholars love to investigate orchids, but Shao Yunduan was too poor to have developed such a money-spending hobby. But he had some knowledge of the topic. He had learned about precious orchids. He had also heard of the kinds that Xie Jingrong mentioned. He knew that those were expensive orchid varieties. Even Dean Meng, Mr. Wu and Mr. Zhou did not possess such expensive orchids. They loved orchids and had raised a few pots. But those were just ordinary or mid-level kinds. They loved those flowers deeply. Shao Yunduan also understood that variants of precious orchids were even more valuable. Just as what Xie Jingrong said, they were a rarely seen breed. But how did he run into so many precious flowers? That was so strange. With his eyes on the orchids, he could not help but feel a bit shocked. "Brother Xia, are those orchids really?" Shao laughed and patted his shoulders. Brother Shao, he would never be wrong about it. He has many floral houses where orchids are kept, and has more than 20 to 30 kinds that belong to the first-class categories. Shao Yunduan. Brother Shao. Shao laughed. "What about selling me a few pots? I will pay you well, please, give some to me." Shao did not understand much about the orchids, but he understood clearly that those were good things as presents. When those orchids were sold to some officers and noble people, his reputation would definitely rise and the receivers would be glad to have them. Xie Jingrong thought for a while and said, "Brother Shao, if it is okay, could I get 2 pots too? I want one variant of jade orchid and one variant of ink orchid. If the variant of spring sword can be given to me, that is fine too." Yuezhing Shao smiled. Brother Xia, that is more than 2 pots. Xia Jingrong ignored him but looked at Shao Yunduan. Shao Yunduan was a bit hesitant. He smiled. My wife is taking care of the flowers here, I need to talk with her. Also, we are friends, the price is totally negotiable. He could give the pots to them if they belonged to him, but he needed to ask Xiao Xian first. Yuezhing Shao could not wait but urged him to ask her. Shao Yunduan smiled and turned to find Xiao Xian. Xiao Xian got a bit shocked when she heard the news. She could not help but feel emotional. How did that happen? But that was probably because she had the superpower. Her superpower helped her to find the precious categories. Then, the superpower helped her grow the orchids and turned them into variants. Some turned excellent, and some turned bad. All of them were valuable, but some were worth nothing. Really valuable. Therefore, Xiao Xian would use her superpower to make the orchids better so that the flowers would turn precious. So, the flowers in her space must be far more precious. Chapter 271. Shocked, the couple exchanged some thoughts and found that they both had the same idea. The orchids were valuable, but it had cost them almost nothing to get them. So they decided to give 1 pot to each of the 2 young masters. If they wanted to have more, they could sell them at most 2 pots respectively at a proper price. Xiao Xian smiled at Shao Yunduan. I never expected that orchids could be so valuable in the mountains. We can go and fetch some more if we get time. Shao Yunduan smiled, fearing that she would get disappointed if she failed to find any more. These aren't vegetables in the garden, how can they be found so easily? It is our luck to have found these orchids. If it is very easy to find them, people could have gotten them earlier. That was a reasonable thing to say. Xiao Xian nodded with a smile. She put forward a slight look of disappointment. Yeah, you are right. She could not possibly reveal her superpower, nor could she do anything big to tell others that she could turn the orchids into expensive and valuable varieties. She could not explain everything with just luck. However, on the positive side, this basically meant that she had one more industry to develop. She could build an orchid base to cultivate new variants, and promote some for auction. That meant keeping a low profile. Also, those things needed to stay rare, so they could be valuable. The more there were, the less they would cost. She needed to hold an auction, so the goods could look valuable. Shao Yunduan expressed his ideas and Yuezhing Shao, Xia Jingrong picked 1 pot respectively and bought 2 more. Yuezhing Shao decided to take them home as back presents, whilst Xia Jingrong bought them out of his own hobby. The 2 men did not hesitate at all. Shao Yunduan had so many here. Also, Shao Yunduan did not seem to be interested in the flowers either, so they were assured that they could take them home. They would not have wanted to take them, if Shao Yunduan was unwilling to share. They gave them 1,000 liang. That was the market price. Shao Yunduan accepted the money since they picked what they wanted very fast. Soon, Xiao Xian had lunch ready and asked the 3 men to gather at the table. Shao Sanlang and Shao Daolong were both home, and when they saw the honored guests, they felt quite nervous. They greeted each other and left. At lunch, Shao Yunduan kept Yuezhing Shao and Xia Jingrong company at one table, whilst the others were eating at another. The table in the kitchen was very small, and Shao Sanlang, as well as Shao Daolong, ate in the backyard with food. They did not mind the treatment. They did not want to share the table with Shao Yunduan and the 2 young masters. Seeing the table full of food, Yuezhing Shao and Xia Jingrong were shocked. They had eaten all kinds of expensive dishes. But they were shocked to have been presented with such a large table of dishes within a short period of time. Especially those cold dishes. The snow-white yam slices and fungus were distinct in black and white, and they were very crisp and refreshing at first glance. The wolfberry buds were green and refreshing, the beans were green, and the sesame paste was glistening on top, which instantly made it look attractive. Chapter 272 Golden Sprout. There was also stewed chicken with mushrooms, which was fragrant and not greasy at all. Braised crucian carp was cooked with a thin layer of gravy. The color was bright red, looking very tempting. Loofah soup tasted light. There was also a plate of scrambled eggs, golden and glistening red, pleasing to the eye, and it smelt a little sweet and sour, which made people feel like devouring it immediately. Yuezheng Shao could not help but admire and respond with a smile. Mrs. Shao made all of these, right? Brother Shao, you are so lucky. Hearing the words, Shao Yunduan felt very pleased. My wife is very good at cooking, please, eat. Okay, I just can't wait. Please. Xia Jingrong kept praising the food during the entire time, and Xia Jingrong, who was rarely talkative, agreed with Yuezheng Shao. They could not help but feel emotional. How could a rude person like County Magistrate Xiao have such a smart, wonderful daughter? Moreover, County Magistrate Xiao had no idea about this at all. He would have regretted deeply if he had known about this. They had never eaten tomato with scrambled eggs before, and Yuezheng Shao could not help but ask, after he had a taste of the fresh and sour dish. Shao Yunduan had once watered the plants, so he said, my wife brought this plant home from a wild field. She calls it tomatoes. Yuezheng Shao asked Shao Yunduan to get some more for his own garden at home. Shao Yunduan smiled. I will talk about this with my wife. Yuezheng Shao laughed and teased. You are so much fun. Okay, you can talk about this. Xia Jingrong smiled and admired Shao Yunduan. Very few people respected their wife in this way. After lunch, Lu Yan and Yang Xiaoni came to clean up the table, whilst in the kitchen, Qiao Xian and Tao Tao boiled some water and made some new tea to serve them. Qiao Xian brought out the tea leaves she had taken home. After a few times, they had continued to process tea leaves at home. Tea leaves could be sold too, and the leaves should not be wasted. Therefore, when Ms. Fong asked Lu Yan to serve them the tea, she used the rough leaves. But when Xiao Xian served them, she offered the tea that had an amber, yellow tinge. Xia Jingrong and Yuezheng Shao's expressions changed as they smelled it. Yuezheng Shao took a sip and turned to Xia Jingrong with surprise. Brother Xia, please, take a sip and tell me. Am I confused or something? How can this taste so much like golden sprout? Golden sprout? Qiao Xian and Shao Yunduan exchanged a look between themselves and she smiled. That seems like a nice name. Xia Jingrong tasted the tea, slowly put down the teacup, and gave Shao Yunyun and Xiao Xian a complicated look. This is definitely golden sprout, absolutely right. Is this what you found in the mountains? Unfortunately, it is not a good way to fry it. It is slightly jerky. The tea leaves are also a little browned, the color is not correct, and the fragrance is not fully soaked. But it is first-class tea, and the well-processed golden sprout would cost at least 40 liang per half a kilo. Yuezheng Shao could not help but feel speechless. Brother Shao, you really have everything. The tea leaves you offer are so expensive and rare. Chapter 273 Tryout. Xiao Xian was shocked. So, valuable? Shao Yunduan was taken aback too. We found them in the mountains. They smelled nice, so we brought some home for processing. But how could this be golden sprout? It wasn't a very commonly heard name either. Qiao Xian had some knowledge of other categories, like Longjing of West Lake, Biluakun of Dongting and others. But she had never heard of golden sprout. Qiao Xian's eyes sparkled. She smiled. Let me serve you another kind of tea. They knew what golden sprout was, then they might even have some idea of what this one was. Therefore, when Yuezheng Shao, Xia Jingrong and Shao Yunduan were talking about golden sprout, Qiao Xian came with 3 other kinds of tea with a smile. She said, please, have some tea. Yuezheng Shao and Xia Jingrong became quite curious. Yuezheng Shao had the teacup in his hands, smiling. I don't think there is any other tea that can be better than golden sprout. Good tea leaves are very difficult to find. Yuezheng Shao's eyes widened as he took a couple of sips. Lavender, this is lavender tea. Brother Xia, do you agree with me? Xia Jingrong gazed at him and nodded. He was even more shocked, but he looked calmer. Yes, this is lavender. You are truly lucky. Xia Jingrong did not believe them first, but by this point, he had to believe that they were lucky. Shao Yunduan smiled. My brother Xiaoqi likes going into the mountains, and he is a good hunter. We wanted to get some mountain stuff, and happened to run into the tea leaves, accidentally. Lavender, the tea leaves are first-class ones too. Yuezheng Shao sipped some more and said with some obsession in his voice, of course, lavender is more expensive than golden sprout. Well-processed lavender can cost at least 100 liang half a kilo. Shao Yunduan. They almost ruined the treasure. They processed the tea leaves from the iron pot in their kitchen. Qiao Xian sat down next to Shao Yunduan, smiled. Young Master Yuezheng, are you interested in tea leaves business? Yuezheng Shao's eyes sparkled as he turned to Qiao Xian. Qiao Xian continued. When we came home the other day from the mountains, we did not only get some tea leaves home. Since the leaves smelled so great, we also brought some buds with us. Those buds are all growing well. If you like it, what about? Of course I want it. Yuezheng Shao nodded in agreement even before she finished her words. But the two kinds of tea leaves aren't very easy to plant. If you want to do it, you need to make some efforts. Yuezheng Shao reminded her in an implied way. Good tea leaves could be hard to plant. It is fine, let's try. If we make it, we all benefit from it. If not, then we can drop it. What do you think? Qiao Xian had suspected that would happen. Easily planted tea leaves could be seen everywhere. These were expensive because they were rare. Especially lavender, which cost 100 liang half a kilo, that was a lot of money. Shao Yunduan smiled. If you want to have a try, let's do it. Yuezheng Shao smiled. Okay, it's a deal. Chapter 274 More Jealousy, you can do the planting. Anyways, we don't have any golden sprouts and lavender in our province, and they are rarely seen in the southwest too. If the planting goes well, I can surely sell however much you have. Qiao Xian smiled. Okay, but I have one condition. Young Master Yuezheng, please find me a good tea leaves processor. Of course, otherwise we would ruin the best tea leaves. Yuezheng Shao nodded and could not help but look at the tea leaves in his cup, feeling a bit concerned. A good stir-processed lavender had slender and compact strands, and the color was purple and black. The brewed tea was crystal clear with a hint of purple, very beautiful, with a sweet taste in the mouth and a long aftertaste. More interestingly, the scent varied depending on the water temperature, the fire temperature. There could be various kinds of scents coming out of the tea leaves, the scent of roses, beans, fresh olives, herbs, chestnuts, grass and so on. Unfortunately, tea leaves were difficult to process and fry, even harder to breed. Therefore, the production was always so small. Much smaller than that of golden sprout. The two sides worked on the deal and decided to finalize the contract in detail. They could not finish the work within one day. The tea leaves would need more than a couple of days to come into existence. Qiao Xian and Shao Yunduan needed to have a talk about how to continue. Yuezheng Shao was glad. He believed that it was a trip worth the while. He trusted Xiao Xian and Shao Yunduan, so when they claimed that they could do that, they would definitely make the tea leaves grow well. Xia Jingrong could not help but ask. Can we take a look at the tea leaves' buds? He had drunk the tea, but he had never seen what the tea trees looked like. Yuezheng Shao was also motivated. He smiled and nodded. What about us checking it out together? He looked at Shao Yunduan and Xiao Xian. What else do you have? What about sharing them with us together so we can have a look at them? They were getting really jealous of what this couple had. Xiao Xian laughed and exchanged a look with Shao Yunduan. We have 2 or 3 mews of watermelons, very sweet. What about having a taste of them? We also have 30 bee boxes and a lot of honey at home. It is really good, and we can give you 2 jars each when you leave. She had many other good things too. Like the jelly, the rose and jasmine oil, gardenia oil and so on. But she decided to leave them for later. She had already created too many surprises today for them to accept. She was going to release the good things little by little. For real? Yuezheng Shao's eyes widened. Xie Jingrong could not help but feel really surprised too. Yuezheng Shao had been joking, but Xiao Xian did give him an answer. Of course. Xiao Xian blinked and smiled. Shao Yunduan smiled too. Soon Lu Yan carried the watermelon into the room and Yuezheng Shao was shocked. What a big watermelon. Brother Shao, you really have watermelons. Shao Yunduan smiled. Yes, we dug the buds from the mountains, and they grew well. This is more than well. It is excellent. We rarely see watermelons of this size. Look at the color, it should taste great. Yuezheng Shao sighed and found that he was getting a bit numb in head. Xie Jingrong felt the same. His family had watermelon fields that produced fruits in summer, but they never had much yield. Chapter 275, Worth the while every year in summers, only those with important status in the mansion would be able to get a few, and concubines as well as disgraced children of concubines would normally get at most one. Watermelons were the best fruit for summer, and those at the mansion loved it. So did he, though he did not have much knowledge about farming. Watermelons were never large in number because it was never easy to take care of the fruit. The watermelons would not grow well due to the constant, heavy rain in May and June. Therefore, there were very few watermelons that were available every year. The Shao family had offered 2 very well-grown watermelons of a large size and it seemed that they did not think that those were precious. That surprised Yuezheng Shao and Xie Jingrong. When the watermelon was cut open, the sweetness was all over the place. Xiao Xian asked Lu Yan to serve some slices to Miss Fong and Shao Daolong whilst telling the 2 young masters to have a taste. Try and see if our watermelons taste sweet. We all think it is quite sweet. Seeing the juicy and red flesh, Yuezheng Shao could not wait but take a bite of it. The juice went in his mouth and gave him a wonderful feeling. Yuezheng Shao ate and said, "It tastes much better and the watermelons at my home. Brother Shao, you have so much treasure at home, I would like to have 2 when I leave." Everyone laughed. Xiao Xian smiled. Sure, we have so many in the yard. That was true. They had found the buds from the mountain, and everyone in the family was already used to seeing them grow so vividly. At first they believed that these were rare things, but now, the family treated them just as ordinary fruits. Moved, Yuezheng Shao smiled. If the watermelons are all in this size and taste this good, they can sell well in the town. Brother Shao, and Mrs. Shao, how many more do you have? Can we fill 2 wagons with watermelons and take them away? They would arrive in the town by evening if they departed early in the morning. They could sell the watermelons early next morning. It was going to be a good business day. Although 2 wagons of watermelons would give Yuezheng Shao very little profit, these watermelons would definitely be well loved in this season of the year. Also, Shao Yunduan and Xiao Xian had so much treasure and they should establish some friendship so as to strengthen their business ties. Seeing the watermelons growing bigger and better, Xiao Xian was also thinking about what to do with them. She smiled with joy. One and a couple of days, we are going to have many watermelons ready. 2 wagons are definitely no problem. Young Master Yuezheng, you have solved the problem for us. I was going to let Manager Qin help me sell them. Yuezheng Shao laughed. Our trip is totally worth the while. It's a deal then. I will vet someone to fetch the watermelons in 3DAV_R_ what a haunt 2 IN for 1 watermelon. They had no scale at that time, and it was difficult to weigh them. So when Yuezhing Shao said so, Xiao Xian agreed readily. 3 qian for 1 watermelon was way beyond what she had planned. Xiao Xian nodded happily. The 4 of them talked for a while, after which Xiao Xian handed over the 1,200 lipsticks to Yuezhing Shao. She also gave 10 lipsticks to Yuezhing Shao and Xie Jingrong respectively as gifts. Chapter 276, Low Profile Translator. Henyi translations 1,200 lipsticks were worth 2,400 liang. Xiao Xian accepted the money and for a while, she felt a bit dizzy in her head. She had turned so rich instantly. When Yuezhing Shao and Xie Jingrong left, they were given some first-class tea leaves, 2 bottles of honey and 4 big watermelons. Not to forget the orchids. As the wagon left the village, Yuezhing Shao looked at the wagon filled with stuff, laughing emotionally. These are all good things. How can the Shao family have so many good things? The trip is totally worth the while. Xie Jingrong added. In hindsight, we offered them very few presents. We will make it up to them later. Yuezhing Shao nodded. Yes, we should. The Shao family was lucky to have these 2 people. Shao Yunduan, for example, was quite learned and well-mannered. He was going to have a bright future, they believed. They spoke for a while and found the Shao family getting more interesting. Xie Jingrong whispered to himself that when Shao Yunduan made it to the next level of the imperial exam, the Shao family would definitely get more and more promising. After they left, Shao Yunduan gave 2,000 liang to Xiao Xian. They had earned 4,400 liang within a day. As the notes were held in their hands, they felt really motivated. Xiao Xian smiled. We have some savings now. However, this amount of money was not enough to counter her father. So, they still had to remain low-profiled. Xiao Xian gave 200 liang to Ms. Fang. She accepted it and smiled. This is great. I have got enough savings now. After the autumn harvest, we will rebuild our house, so you can all have a better place. That sounds great. Xiao Xian's eyes sparkled, and she smiled. Mom, you are so considerate. We have money now, and we can build a bigger and better place. Then, we can all have a happy life. Miss Fang smiled. Yes. The house has to be very big. In a couple of years when you all have children, the house is going to be bustling. Startled, Xiao Xian agreed. But she felt a bit unsure. Her 3rd brother and 3rd sister-in-law were so much in love with each other and they should have a child very soon. But she and Shao Yunduan were a bit different. Xiao Xian did not want to divorce Shao Yunduan because she liked the Shao family. Moreover, she liked Shao Yunduan in particular. Although her father-in-law was not clear in mind, he did not affect her much. Moreover, her mother-in-law always took her side. That flaw was not so bad. Also, there was never a perfect thing in the world. She was quite satisfied with the family she was in now. But she wondered what her husband thought of her. If he did not hate her, they could just live together forever, right? When Ms. Su and everyone else returned, Xiao Xian gave them 10 liang respectively, telling them that the lipstick sold well and they were all going to get a bonus. Ms. Su thanked her happily. Yang Xiaoni was so shocked and glad to receive so much money. She smiled brightly and asked repeatedly. Are you sure this is for me? Are you sure? She laughed like an idiot. Ms. Su could not help but roll her eyes inwardly. Her 3rd sister-in-law was so dumb. Chapter 277, Annoyed Xiao Xian gave Shao Xiaoqi and Shao Taotao 100 liang respectively. But for their company into the mountains, they would not have obtained such great tea leaves like golden sprout and lavender. Shao Xiaoqi and Shao Taotao knew that fifth sister-in-law was very generous. So, they accepted the money and thanked her gratefully, adding the money to their personal savings. Thinking that Yuezheng Shao would send his men to fetch the watermelons in 3 days' time, Xiao Xian took out some time to visit the garden and help the fruits to grow with her superpower, so that the watermelons could grow better and faster. In the town, Yuezheng Shao and Xie Jingrong reached the hotel around 4, when the guards presented an invitation to them. County Magistrate Xiao's man, strategist Liu, had given it to them. The invitation was asking them to have dinner at Yanhe restaurant. Both of them got really annoyed. Yuezheng Shao smiled. Officer Qiao is quite quick to find our whereabouts. Xie Jingrong shivered a little, asking, "Did he know where we have been?" The guard at the hostel said, "No. I just told them that you were out having fun." The two of them were out for fun. Officer Qiao would not suspect that. Nor would Officer Qiao get someone to follow them about. Good. Yuezheng Shao's face changed. I think we should be careful about sending our men to Shaoding village. Xie Jingrong nodded. They knew about the battle inside the mansion. If they knew that they were good friends with Xiao Xian, she and her family would not have a peaceful life in the future. Both Xiao Xian and Shao Yunduan were so good at making money, which was an important secret to keep. They regarded them as friends, so they should not cause them trouble. Yuezheng Shao cast away the invitation, smiling lazily. Since Officer Qiao is providing us with free dinner, we will be there. He will continue to ask us to be at the dinner, since he is the officer of this place. The Yuezheng family were running businesses, large and noble businesses. They were good friends with some generals in the northwest. Yuezheng Shao did not care about a small person like Officer Qiao. That was why he could not respect this person. Also, Officer Qiao was not that worthy of the respect either. Xie Jingrong frowned slightly and accepted the invitation, thinking that it made sense. In the evening, the two of them went to Yanhe restaurant for dinner. Officer Qiao, County Officer Zhang, Strategist Liu, Dean Meng from Minghua College as well as 2 rich young masters from the local area received the two of them warmly. Seeing the oil-filled dishes at the table, Yuezheng Shao and Xie Jingrong could not help but think of the lunch they had at the Shao family, which was fresh and full of taste, much better than the dishes in front of them. Officer Qiao was so generous that Xie Jingrong and Yuezheng Shao had to deal with him with half a heart. Officer Qiao asked what they were doing and if he could offer some help. He did not think that they were here to only have fun. He had missed the chance to suck up to them last time when they were seeking Chinese fleeceflower root. Now that the chance came again, he could not afford to drop it. That made the two of them feel even more annoyed. They just said something randomly to get rid of the man. Yuezheng Shao was thinking that they should be very cautious about hanging out with the Shao family. The following day, Yuezheng Shao and Xie Jingrong had 2 more sets of expensive presents prepared and sent them to Shao Yunduan and Xiao Xian with a thank you note. Xiao Xian and Shao Yunduan were both very surprised. The 2 young masters were simply too well-mannered. Chapter 278, Mistakes. The presents included cubulos, wild ginseng, silk, brocade and several boxes of delicate cakes. That counted up to more than a dozen gift boxes. Miss Fong kept laughing but with guilt. The 2 young masters are just so generous. So generous. Xiao Xian understood the rules of the big mansions. She gave a few red packets with money inside to the coachman and the 2 staff. The 3 of them had not expected that they would receive red packets from a family in the countryside. They all laughed happily and developed good feelings towards the Shao family. The guy also told Shao Yunduan and Xiao Xian that in a couple of days later, their young master would get some people to fetch the watermelons and that they would arrive at dawn, hoping that they could open the door for them. Shao Yunduan nodded. Many people already spotted the honored guests that visited the first section of the Shao family the day before, and more people witnessed the presents today. Some people were even craning their necks out to see what was inside. Seeing that they were giving presents to the first section of the Shao family, they could not help but feel jealous. They are blooming. So great that they have married a good daughter-in-law. Yunduan is excellent too. What if he passes the next level of the imperial exam next year? Then it would be more than just rich people who came to visit the Shao family. True. Wow. Widow's son also witnessed the familiar wagon and could not help but follow up. She was also among those who gossiped. Hearing those words, Widow's son felt both jealous and angry. She pursed her lips and snorted, walking away. She would never admit that she was regretful not to have approved of the marriage with the Shao family in the past. If she had known that Shao Yunduan was so good and had befriended so many rich people, she would have loved to establish a marriage relationship with them. But she soon pressed down this idea. She did not want to admit that she regretted it. He is just a cultivated talent, and he will not make it to recommended man. It is not so easy to go to the next level, he is just dreaming. Widow's son felt much better after consoling herself. Seeing Ms. Niu coming towards her, she suddenly came up with an idea, laughing. Your nephew, cultivated talent Shao, has become quite successful. 2 rich young masters visited their home the day before. Today, they sent him so many presents. 10 boxes. They could not even carry them home with 4 arms. Honestly, I ran into the 2 young masters yesterday, and they looked so handsome and well-dressed. They are definitely not from ordinary families. Widow's son winked and elbowed Ms. Niu, asking with a small, smiling tone. Your Miling is old enough to get married, right? Hi, not ask your nephew for help? You are relatives and she can marry someone handsome. If you miss it, that would be pitiful. Widow's son wished that she could get her own daughter to marry one of them, but she realized that she was incapable of doing so. Unless the 2 of them came to the village again and she got another chance to do so. She had just had a fight with Miss Fong, who would never introduce such great young men to her daughter. But she could still vent her anger, if she could make Ms. Niu pester her to do so. Chapter 279. Interested. She was putting forward a good idea to Ms. Niu, she was. Ms. Niu was also very concerned about Shao Miling's marriage, so she was quite moved after hearing that. Really? Tell me exactly what is going on. Those who could give large presents to the Shao Fa_Mali should not have come from a bad family. When Ms. Niu heard about the gifts from Widow's son, she soon had very greedy thoughts. But then she pressed down the idea. She understood clearly what was going on right now. Miss Fong was too tough in her stance to share anything. Ms. Niu was very motivated to meet the 2 rich young masters. Even if she did not like Shao Yunduan, she had to admit that Shao Yunduan was a cultivated talent, and he should be hanging out with people from above-average families. If the 2 young masters were rich and handsome as Widow's son said, then any of them would be quite suitable to become her son-in-law. That should not be troublesome for the first section of the family. Shao Yunduan and Ms. Fong should offer some help, right? They had to. Hearing that Ms. Niu was interested in her idea, Widow's son became smug and started to brag more and more. She described Duejing Shao and Xie Jingrong as special existences, who offered presents and came to visit them personally. She surmised that they should definitely be in a good relationship with Shao Yunduan. That would make everything easy for Ms. Niu. Hearing that, Ms. Niu got so happy, though she kept denying the possibility. I am not sure, but if it works as you said, I will invite you for the wedding. Sure, I will definitely want to be at the wedding. The 2 women exchanged a look and laughed. Widow's son kept bitching about Ms. Niu inwardly. This woman was so greedy. Why couldn't she realize the simple fact that rich young masters would not marry any countryside girls as the wife, even though Shao Yunduan was their friend? Also, Miss Fong would never make her wish come true. Ms. Niu hurried home and talked with second uncle about this. Second uncle was quite motivated as well. In their opinions, Shao Yunduan was cultivated talent and he had a promising future. Qiao Xian was Officer Qiao's daughter and their niece-in-law. So with these two as mediators, there should be a high possibility of getting their daughter to marry one of Shao Yunduan's friends. But they had to tell the elder uncle about it first. Therefore, when eldest uncle asked Shao Yunduan if the guests were engaged, Shao Yunduan was totally startled. In fact, both Shao Yunduan and Xiao Xian were shocked. What were second aunt and second uncle thinking? They did not know where the two young masters were from, but they should realize that Shao Miling was not a match for any of them. Ms. Fong screamed. The couple is crazy, right? How dare they say things like this? Miling is not a match for either of them. Eldest uncle was displeased. Miling is your niece, and your face will also lift if she marries well. How can you demean her like this? Miss Fong rolled her eyes. Damn. Honestly, her own Tao was better than that girl, and she had plenty of dowry to take along. Still she never thought about marrying her to a rich family. They were not from the same background, and if she married into such a family, she would be humiliated and looked down upon by relatives and friends. That would not be good for her. She could find a down-to-earth farmer and with dozens of good fields and a lot of money. With that, they would probably have a happy life together. Chapter 280, A Try, Dad. Shao Yunduan could not help but sigh and shake his head. Please let second uncle and second aunt drop the idea. Those two young masters. He was not going to tell him where Yuezhing Shao and Xie Jingrong were really from. What if the news spread and reached Officer Qiao? That would be so troublesome. They are cultivated talents and from rich families. Moreover, in all likelihood, their parents have already arranged the marriage for them. I don't know whether they are engaged, but they are just my ordinary friends. How can I ask them about this? Aloes, the two families don't match at all. Miss Fong sneered. True. Some people just don't understand who they are, and keep adding trouble to others. Yunduan has made some good friends, and if they don't hang out with Yunduan because of this embarrassing thing, he will lose important contacts. Let me tell you, if you ruin Yunduan's future, I will hate you forever. Eldest uncle frowned. I am not this kind of person, okay? I was just asking. Since they already have marriage plans, we can drop it, of course. Also, we need to have both parties satisfied before taking it further. But Miling is also your niece, how can you look down at her? Can't you just say something good about her? She is at the age of getting married. Why can't you be nice to her? Miss Fong rolled her eyes. Okay, she is good, as long as she doesn't ruin my son, then she can do whatever she wants. You. Eldest uncle glared. Second uncle and Ms. Niu got annoyed as they heard the hesitant answer. Eldest brother, so whether or not those two young masters are not engaged is not certain, right? Why not mention the matter to them? What if either of them like Miling? Yeah. Our Miling is beautiful and diligent, why can't she be a match? Just give it a try, okay? Eldest brother, you want Miling to marry into a good family, right? If we lose this chance, we won't get any better ones. We can just try. All you need to do is ask what if they come together. We will be grateful to you forever. Yeah. Second uncle and Ms. Niu kept begging eldest uncle, who became really annoyed. He wanted to promise them, but he did not want to make a decision on behalf of Shao Yunduan, so he answered briefly and hurried off. Ms. Niu snapped and sneered. Eldest brother is always talking about beautiful things, about how we are a family and should help each other. But I think that he is very selfish. Second uncle. Yes, you simply take Miling to their house when the guests come next time. Yeah. Ms. Niu. S eyes sparkled. You are so clever. I will just do that. She felt a bit sour. I think that Yunduan is getting more promising and he should have more friends coming to his home in the future. I will watch out for his guests henceforth. We are open to anyone. She had to admit that Shao Yunduan was cultivated talent and he was not befriending any farmers. She had no cultivated talent at home, but she could have a cultivated talent as her son-in-law. What if that man became an officer in the future? Then, her daughter would become the wife of an officer. They should make full use of what they have now. If the first section could help them, things would not be bad. Shao Yunduan and the others of the family did not know anything about this. So, no one mentioned the matter anymore. Chapter 281, Going back to the capital. Even though there was no mention, Zhao Xian laughed inwardly, and told Shao Yunduan that their second uncle and second aunt really liked dreaming. Despite that they had no idea who Yuezhing Shao and Xie Jingrong really were, they should have at least thought that people from ordinary families did not dress like that at all. They wished to climb higher through marriage, but had they ever thought about whether the other person wanted to marry someone like their daughter? Soon it was the day when Yuezhing Shao's men came to pick the watermelons. When it was dawn, the coachman as well as 2 page boys arrived. Apart from Miss Fang and eldest uncle, everyone else was up, busy picking the watermelons. Eldest uncle also wanted to offer some help, but Miss Fang stopped him. Miss Fang said, "You don't have to come along. There are already so many who are in the field, and it wouldn't work if everyone went there." In fact, Miss Fang just did not want him to see what was going on in the yard. There were so many things in the yard, after all. Although they all knew that it was Xiao Xian's personal property, the eldest uncle was never resolute, especially if he saw this. Hearing that, eldest uncle nodded and believed that it was true. So, he did not go over to help. The watermelons were very large, and with so many people helping out, the watermelons filled up the wagons within 1 hour. They had 200 watermelons altogether, and the total amount was 60 liang. 60 liang wasn't that much for the first section of the Shao Fa_Mili. But it was a business without cost and the amount was enough to last for 4 or 5 years. Xiao Xian did not share the money with the rest of the family, but she offered to make a delicious dinner that night. They cheered, especially Yang Xiaoni and Shao Sanlang, who started looking forward to the dinner already. Even if Xiao Xian did not offer to make dinner, the rest of the family would say nothing. They had cold, sweet and juicy watermelons every day for lunch, and that was a huge advantage for them. Xiao Xian gave one to the coachman and the page boys respectively. The coachman and page boys were so happy that they kept thanking her. Watermelons were rare, and they were going to take them home for friends and family to eat. That would surely lift up their reputation. There were a few watermelons that were not ripe, and Yuezhing Shao would send some more men to fetch the remaining ones after a week or so. At this rate, they would come over at least 3 more times. With watermelons ready in the wagon, Yuezhing Shao and Xie Jingrong decided to leave the town. Yuezhing Shao simply could not wait to sell the watermelons and lipsticks. County Magistrate Xiao had been watching them all the time. His messenger did not follow them on their trip, but would pass on the information to County Magistrate Xiao the moment they arrived. Then, Strategist Lu and he would come to the door and greet them, exchanging a few words. That really annoyed Yuezhing Shao and Xie Jingrong. But he was an officer of the town and they could not possibly drive him and his people away. When they were just about to leave, County Magistrate Xiao came with Strategist Lu in a hurry, to see them off, making the 2 young masters feel irritated. Yuezhing Shao complained. "What is County Magistrate Xiao doing here?" Xie Jingrong said calmly, "He is very anxious to return to the capital." Yuezhing Shao was startled and burst out into laughter. Hurrying back to the capital? No wonder they wanted to get on well with the Xie family. He hoped that the Xie family could help him to get back to the capital. But this officer with such low competence would not return with a high title. Also, he would have to wait for a few more years before being granted even a small position. Chapter 282, Plan. County Magistrate Xiao and his gang suddenly spotted the wagon full of watermelons. At her scene got Yuezhing Shao and Estrangement, County Magistrate, Liao's eyes sparkled. He tried to press down his excitement and said calmly, "Strategist, you saw that too?" Strategist Lu could not help but lick his lips, drooling inwardly. That was a wagon filled with watermelons. He would like to have some too. It would be wonderful if they could eat those large, juicy watermelons, and feel their coolness and texture. He had been working for the county magistrate for a few years, but he only ate 2 slices of watermelons last summer, which was given by the county magistrate. The county magistrate himself had not yet eaten any watermelons this year. Strategist Lu could not help but lament. That young master of the Yuezheng family just doesn't know that he should offer you a dozen. That was what county magistrate Shao was thinking inwardly, but he was not going to say it out loud. He waved his hands, pretending to be open-minded. Young Master Yuezheng is a businessman, who only cares about profits. Also, I don't accept things from others for free. You are honest, officer. You never take benefits from anyone, that I know. Strategist Lu raised his eyebrows and started to think. So, do we have someone who is planting watermelons in our county? I will go around and try to see who is doing that. We can buy some too. The watermelons would be so good for the summer. County Magistrate Shao nodded as he smiled. Good, you can go about and take a look. Try and buy as many as possible. Okay, officer. Strategist Lu smiled and felt happy inwardly. The farmers would definitely be glad to have a connection with the county magistrate when he finds them and buys their watermelons. He would get however many he wanted when he saw them. No one would ask the officer for money. By that time, he was going to get dozens of watermelons, enough for the whole summer. When Officer Chao returned to the mansion, Madame Chao said with a smile, "Li Lt is getting really hot these days, and we are not sleeping well. I decided to send some people to get some watermelons from the province tomorrow to bring home. If you need anything else, we can buy them together." Xiao Wei was spoiled and greedy for watermelons. Madame Chao cared about her and did not want to see her suffer. Watermelons did not have a high yield last year due to the torrential rains, and the housekeeper said that one good watermelon would cost 7 yen, which was way over the budget. So only a few were bought. When the housekeeper went to fetch some more, the watermelons were nowhere to be seen. So, they needed to go there earlier this year. Officer Chao smiled. No need to go to the capital, we have watermelons here too. He told her what Strategist Lu's plan was. Madame Chao cheered and smiled. That is good. Just let Strategist Lu get the information and watermelons too. You are working for the county day and night, and the farmers should not ask you for money. Chapter 283, Gossip. They should have brought some to you on their own. Damn civilians, never understanding the rules. Officer Zhou rubbed his beard and nodded. He believed that his wife was right. Damned civilians. Madame Zhou added. Young Master Yuezheng is also too arrogant. You saw them off. He should have given you some watermelons on his own. How dare he ignore you? Officer Zhou, who was deeply hurt by Yuezheng Shao and Xie Jingrong's ignorance, felt very humiliated hearing what Madame Zhou said. Young Master Yuezheng never thinks about those small things. Madame Chao brought herself back and smiled. True. Madame Zhou spoke to Zhou Wei about watermelons, and she was very happy too. It seemed that they were going to have many watermelons to eat during this summer season. I hope they are sweet. Not every farmer is able to plant good watermelons, otherwise they would not have been so rare. Mom, we are buying them in the province if they are not sweet here. Of course. Madame Zhou said with an indulgent smile. It was going to be a very quick exercise. Watermelons were planted in the field and no one was able to conceal that for long. What they needed to do was to do some simple investigation. Zhou Wei and Madame Zhou even got prepared to eat watermelons the following day. It was going to be such a cooling relief, if they were able to eat large watermelons on this hot day. That was a tempting thought. However, 2 days passed and they could not see a thing. Zhou could not help but complain. They are so lazy. How can they be so slow as not to get an idea of where the watermelons are? Madame Zhou frowned and got someone to ask Strategist Lu. Strategist Lu was very anxious and disappointed as well. How would he know? The whole thing was so strange that they could find nothing. He had sent many people to look around and theoretically speaking, they should have been able to eat watermelons by that night itself. However, it seemed that the watermelons Shao carried had appeared out of nowhere. No matter what, they could not find the source. Strategist Lu got so annoyed. He just did not understand where the watermelons would have grown. So, he got someone to dig deeper. Before he could find anything, Madame Zhou's men came to ask him for the result. Strategist Lu had to tell the truth. Madame Zhou complained that he was useless, but she had no choice except to wait. Yet no matter how much they tried, they still could not even find out who planted the fruit, and some people even had no idea of what watermelons were. Then they heard that watermelons might have grown out in the wild field, and not planted at home. Strategist Lu thought for a while and could not find out any other explanation, thus telling the truth. The county magistrate was disappointed, but he believed the excuse and dropped the idea. What a pity that the watermelons were gone. Madame Zhou and Shao felt even more annoyed. Madame Zhou sent her servants to buy watermelons from the province. Don't worry, Wei, we are going to buy many of them, even though it costs 1 liang for one. Only then did Zhou drop the anger. Shao Yunduan and Xiao Xian finally let out a sigh of relief hearing that the officers stopped seeking the origin of watermelons. Although they stressed repeatedly that the family should not spread the news around, they were still quite worried. They could counter the situation if they were found, but the best thing would be that they were never found. Chapter 284, Watermelons. Hearing that Officer Qiao's family made so many efforts just to eat watermelons but obtained nothing in the end, Xiao Xian ate 2 more slices purely out of delight. Luckily, they did not let Manager Qin help them with selling watermelons. Also, they dropped the idea of giving 2 watermelons to Manager Qin. Shao took the watermelons home but did not plan to sell them. Instead, he was going to give them away as presents. He gave Xie Jingrong 20 watermelons, 20 to his parents and kept 20 for himself. By this point, half the amount was gone. The watermelons were large and round, looking beautiful and tasting sweet. They were most suitable as presents. Especially in this weather, nothing was better than a few large watermelons. There were many watermelons in the market, and those fixed farmers already got their watermelons booked before they turned ripe. Therefore, those that could come to the market were not only quite limited in number but also unripe. Madame Zhou sent her housekeeper to buy the watermelon, and luckily, he ran into some cheap ones in the market the following day. Although the housekeeper said that it was just one of the leftovers and not very sweet, yet the housekeeper believed that the watermelons looked really good and sounded quite crispy from outside, thus buying them as good watermelons. The expensive watermelons would not be too sweet but surely would not be bad. The housekeeper bought 10 altogether. 5 liang for 1 pile of watermelons. That was very costly. 5 liang could buy hundreds of kgs of rice. But he decided to tell his master that it cost 7 liang so he could save 2 liang for himself. Once watermelons as well as other things were bought, the housekeeper went back home early the next day. Madame Zhou and Zhou got so happy when the watermelons arrived that they started to drool. Qiao Ko and concubine Du were serving them and feeling greedy inwardly. They knew that even 1 slice would be quite satisfying for them. However, when the maid broke open a watermelon, it looked really white with just a touch of redness. Worse, the skin was not at all fresh. After a bite, one realized that it had no taste, and the soft texture did not taste sweet or fresh at all. Qiao Wei spat and had 1 more cut up. But all the 10 watermelons were the same. Ah! Zhou Wei snapped. What rubbish did the housekeeper buy? Is he blind? He can't even buy one correct one. The more they wanted something, the less likely they were able to get it. That caused a huge disappointment and the anger arose involuntarily. Zhou Wei could not help but want to hit someone. She threw herself in Madame Zhou's arms and cried. What she wanted was to just eat one watermelon. How could that be so difficult? Madame Zhou got so annoyed that she scolded the housekeeper. The housekeeper's face turned. He begged for forgiveness continuously. He had not foreseen this. How could the farmer sell the rotten watermelons at such a high price? And the watermelons could not prove bad unless broken open. He was cheated too. Madame Zhou scolded him and ordered him to back off. Chapter 285. Watermelons available. Of course she knew that the housekeeper had been fooled as well. But she still felt really annoyed. Consoling Zhou Wei, Madame Zhou sent someone else to buy watermelons again. She just did not believe that it was not possible to eat one watermelon. She was quite vexed. Therefore, she must eat at least one watermelon to drive away the anger. Unexpectedly, the housekeeper never ran into anyone who was selling watermelons even after spending so many days in the province. Feeling helpless, the housekeeper did not dare to stay for too long. He returned empty-handed. The mother and daughter, along with Officer Zhou, got very annoyed by this. They could eat a few watermelons last year, but this year, they managed to eat none. They felt so horrible not to have been able to eat any. The more Xiao Wei thought about this, the more angry she became. I just wanted to eat one watermelon. How can this broken, shabby place offer none? I am so fed up with it. Distressed, Madame Zhou consoled her. It is just a watermelon, nothing precious. It is not so rare that we eat nothing good otherwise. We can get all kinds of things we want when we go back to the capital. Zhou Wei snorted and felt very displeased. Her face was sullen. It was so irritating. On the other hand, in the first section of the Shao family, watermelons were very popular. Every day at lunchtime, they would cut 2 large, round ones and have a good taste of it. Their thirst was properly relieved. Everyone present was very happy. While County Magistrate Obo's family failed to get any watermelons, 2 more wagons full of ripe watermelons were transported out of the village and headed directly towards the province. This time, Yuezheng Shao decided to sell the watermelon at the price of 3 qian for one. 3 of his friends bought them really quickly. The clients were very passionate about these watermelons, which he had given out as presents at the beginning. This fruit turned out to be so tasty and sweet, and the cost wasn't high either. They bought them for themselves and friends, and they would not resell them to anyone else. When watermelons and tea leaves were sold out, Zhao Xian started to focus upon the business of mushrooms. The sheds and materials for mushrooms were ready, and the seeds had been found. Once the project kicked off, they were going to make a fortune. With her superpower in play, Zhao Xian could easily distinguish the categories of the mushrooms, so she was never anxious about starting with this business. Miss Fong and Shao Xiaoqi could not help but feel worried for her. They were worried that the mushrooms were difficult to find and they kept consoling her that she did not need to work so hard for it. Zhao Xian smiled and nodded, accepting the kindness. There was very little they could do in the farmland, and when the last batch of lipsticks was made, the flowers stopped blooming. Roses had been picked out and the other kinds were already withering. Even if Xiao Xian wanted to use her superpower, she needed to be cautious. So, she had to wait a little longer. Also, the beeswax was used up, and they needed to get some more of that. Therefore, Zhao Xian, Shao Xiaoqi, Shao Tao Tao as well as Shao Sanlang and Yang Xiaoni went into the mountains together. Shao Dalong and Ms. Su were helping Zhao Xian sort out the floral fields, where they trimmed the leaves and watered the plants. Zhao Xian brought in some water that was hundreds of meters far away, and when the water was to be used, the only thing they needed to do was turn it on and the water would come. They were paid 30 won a day for their work. Shao Dalong and Ms. Su were both quite willing to do the work. They decided to find mushrooms and wild honey as well as some other precious herbs during their trip to the mountains. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 286. Love shown off. Yang Xiaoni had never walked into mountains as deep as these, so she was both very curious and excited. She looked around, swinging her neck. Shao Sanlang wasn't all that experienced, but he was very willing to show off his knowledge in front of his wife by bragging about how interesting things were in the mountains, and how was able to get numerous prey. Hearing him say all that, Yang Xiaoni could not help but look at him with admiration. Brother Sanlang, you know so much. Odeo Xian could not help but clog her ears as she walked next to them. They were too much. They managed to track down numerous mushrooms and got more than 35 to 40 kilograms of wild honey. Shao Sanlang and Yang Xiaoni ate a lot of honey while they were dating, since he was very annoyed by how he got stung years ago. But later, they both got fed up. It was too much for them. But after so many days in the mountains, they only found 4 sites of snow fungus. Zhou Xian used her superpower every now and then, but she could not use too much of it. So, they failed to find too many. Snow fungus were very precious, and once they grew, the values would be much higher than the other categories of mushrooms. Qiao Xian was not anxious. She was going to urge the already growing ones so they would be enough. Shao Xiaoqi got a lot of things too. He had roosters and rabbits to take home, which were enough for the family to eat. They even got 2 honeycombs on this day, and Xiao Xian had a discussion with the rest of the family that they could cease the search after the next day. They were all quite exhausted. Also, they needed to work on the honey. Shao Taotao and Yang Xiaoni both agreed. They believed that floral fields were more important, especially when the new flowers bloomed. They would need to work hard on it. Luckily, Shao Xiaoqi got 1 water deer, chubby and large, weighing around 15 kilograms. Water deer should taste really good, but it was quite timid and ran fast. It was never easy to catch it. Therefore, even finding 1 water deer made everyone happy. They all turned to Zhou Xian, asking, "How should we make it?" Zhou Xian just could not help but feel a bit helpless. They now considered her to be the chef. But it was very easy to work as a chef. She just needed to work on the pot, whilst the rest were done by the others. She thought for a while and said, "Deer, wild sheep, and wild deer are almost the same. Just follow the way of making mutton. Braised, stewed, stir-fried, and boiled are definitely not bad." They all nodded and agreed. Yang Xiaoni licked her lips, saying cheerfully, "I became so hungry after hearing your words." Shao Sanlang added, "This is a large one, you can eat some more at dinner." "Yes, Brother Sanlang, you should eat some more too." "Of course." Qiao Xian and the others. They showed off love wherever they were. Miss Fong was very glad to see such a huge prey when she came home. She helped with boiling the water and removing the fur. Many villagers were drawn to watch the show. Such a large prey was rarely seen, and the villagers wanted to see what they were going to do with it. However, as they were watching the processing of the animal, a gray-haired old woman, together with 2 young men and 2 young women, arrived there. "Is this Miss Fang's home?" They all turned to look at the newcomers. "Sorry for the inconvenience." "Thank you very much." Chapter 287. Ms. Zhou's family. Ms. Fong glanced at them, nodding with a smile. "I am Miss Fong, who are you?" She really had no idea who they were. Nor did anyone from the Shao family recognize them. Someone seemed to recognize her, and was about to speak up, when the old woman went up to her and took hold of Miss Fang's hands. In a grateful voice, she said, I am from the Zhou family. My daughter used to be the second daughter-in-law of the Ding family. I am older than you, and I will address you as my niece. Thank you for helping my daughter. Oh, they were from Ms. Zhou's home. People present could not help but wear a look of understanding. Miss Fang brought herself back, laughing. Don't worry, Ms. Zhou and I have always been good friends and it was just a little help. No need to make a big deal out of it. But I am grateful, she said with teeth clenched, as she sneered. Some people are the worst human beings. Thank goodness you were here. Miss Fang shook her head out of courtesy and asked them to have a seat inside. The villagers left, seeing that something was going on in the family and Miss Fang was driving them away. When Ms. Zhou and Ding Erzhu had the wooden house built and all was settled, they bought some chicken and opened up the field. Their life had just started. The remaining work should just be routine. Only at that time did Ms. Zhou return to her own home with her child. Ms. Zhou had thought about turning to her natal family when she ran into trouble, but she felt too ashamed to go over. When she went home and talked about the whole issue, the mother and the daughter cried a lot. Ms. Zhou had a brother who always cared about her. She was not very close to her sister-in-law, but they always talked in a friendly way. Hearing that, her parents and brother got so annoyed. Ms. Zhou spent one night at her mother's home and the following morning, her parents, brother, sister-in-law and cousins all rushed to the Zhang village and hit Ding Erzhu. Ms. Zhou shielded him but the whole family scolded Ding Erzhu angrily. They married their daughter to him only because he looked very honest. But now their daughter was suffering so much. Ding Erzhu cried too. He felt very guilty while facing his brother-in-law as well as his parents-in-law. His parents-in-law had always treated him well. Every time he visited them, they would kill the chicken to treat him and let him bring some food home when he returned. He even borrowed some grains from them. But he failed to protect their daughter, and let her suffer so much during the past few years. When she was done scolding her son-in-law, she took her children and nieces as well as her family to the fifth Grandpa Ding's home. She did not have her husband with her, who stayed back at home. Fifth Grandma Ding was at home. Seeing the Zhou family coming towards her, she was about to defend herself when everyone rushed forward and hit her. They ripped off her clothes, grabbed her hair, hit her face and pinched her arms. They spared no efforts to hit her. Fifth Grandma Ding's 2 sons were gone, and 2 daughter-in-laws were both absent. So she was mercilessly hit by the Zhou family. Also, she treated none of her daughter-in-laws well, and even if they were around, they might not have offered any help either. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 288, Purpose. Later, Madame Zhou took her son and daughter-in-law, rushing into Fifth Grandpa Ding's home and smashed everything. They broke every utensil in the kitchen and spilled the seasonings onto the ground. But for being a farmer's family himself and not wanting to ruin the food, they would have poured all the grain into the ditch. Fifth Grandma Ding's heart felt broken. She cried and kept calling her a bitch constantly. Annoyed, Madame Zhou hit her again. They were in the midst of the fight when the Ding family finally came home. The Ding family got so annoyed that they demanded the Zhou family to repay them. Madame Zhou snapped. Repay you what? You need to compensate me for my granddaughter's life first. Fifth Grandpa Ding could not hold it in. That was her fault. She was just a child, what did she know? You believe that she can think rationally? You were so cruel as to trap her in the ancestral hall and not allow her to eat or drink anything. Fifth Grandpa Ding felt so strange when he heard this. How did she know about not getting any food? Fifth Grandpa Ding flushed out of anger. He shivered and could not utter a sound. Madame Zhou sneered. My daughter and my son-in-law are not lazy, are they? They show respect to you, right? Still, you drove them out without giving them any share in the properties. How dare you separate the family like this? Ding Sanju snapped. It was them who wanted to do so. Oh really? But you allowed them to go away, right? They were forced to move out without getting anything. It is ridiculous. Ding Sanju got very annoyed but was speechless in the end. Madame Zhou glanced at them and sneered. Since you drove them out, the relation has been cut off directly. Don't ever dare to come to us for anything good in the future. If I ever find out that you are doing so, I will slap you to death. Fifth Grandpa Ding shivered out of anger. They should never come back home too. I won't accept them either. We won't. Madame Zhou sneered. Bear it well in mind. After the chaos, they thanked those who had helped their daughter before, and then they headed to the first section of the Shao family to express their gratitude. Although many people helped the couple, the first section of the Shao family had given the biggest help. They even arranged the future for them. The Zhou family were very grateful to them, and they definitely would come to the door to express their thanks. Miss Fang could not help but sigh, telling Madame Zhou that everything would be fine. Madame Zhou shed some tears and thanked them again, before leaving. Miss Fang liked Madame Zhou's straightforward personality. Madame Zhou was a very straightforward person who had taught her daughter to be kind. But that did not become a merit. Miss Fang could not help but feel bothered. It seemed that her Tao was too kind as well. She should be taught to be fierce too, maybe. The family affairs of Fifth Grandpa Ding's home became the gossip for many people, and it went on for a long time. The whole family got so annoyed, but they did not dare to turn to the Zhou family for any sort of repayment. They had to accept the loss. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 289, Unspeakable Feelings. Ms. Su, Yang Xiaoni, all of them felt sorry for Ms. Zhou's family. But Xiao Xian and Ms. Fang were the ones who knew what was really going on, so they exchanged a look and smiled at each other. It made their relationship closer. The water deer was soon handled and the meat was sliced. They were aware that the internal organs were good things too, so they held them in a basin. It was a huge animal that should be shared with the other sections of the family, so Miss Fang asked Xiao Sanlang to cut a few medium-level meat for them. She was not going to deliver it, nor would she let Tao do that. She asked eldest uncle to do so personally. She decided not to get involved with them in any case. Eldest uncle was very displeased. But he said nothing to counter her. Sure enough, the second and the third sections of the family complained about getting very little meat. They did not say it straightforwardly, but that was exactly what they meant. Eldest uncle was feeling rather displeased inwardly. But the first section of the family did not care. They started the fire and put all the inner organs inside the pot, adding different kinds of spices for braising. The other stove was heated as well. The water deer was cut into different sizes of diced and stewed on the dried bamboo. Miss Su was slicing the meat for frying while Xiao Xian intended to make a dish of stewed ribs. Stewed ribs were easy to make. Rice and glutinous rice were soaked a little, fried in a pan until they turned brown, then ground and a little salt was added. She had planned to add the 5-spice powder, but it was not present at the moment. So she could only make a simpler version of it and tried to see what it tasted like. Xiao Xian did not think that it was going to taste bad, because the fried rice smelled good. Then she could add some more spices, like star anises, fennels and cinnamon to make it fragrant. When it was time for dinner, a table full of delicious water deer was brought to the table. Everyone was attracted to the stewed water deer meat immediately. That is a new dish. It looks really delicious. They just could not wait to touch the dish. The meat smelled fragrant, and the rice flour over it had locked the freshness of the meat. As the scent of rice and meat were combined, it tasted best when eaten hot. Xiao Xian had not eaten this kind of dish in a long while, and she had not expected that water deer, when made this way, would taste especially fresh. Then, she could make some more similar ones. The following day, Xiao Xian suddenly felt a bit tired. She suggested that they should deal with the already existing honey first and get the beeswax, before paying a visit to the mountains. Xiao Xian's suggestion catered to what others were also thinking. Actually, it was because Xiao Xian sensed the moisture in the air, and she predicted that it was going to rain very soon. She was very sensitive towards the air changes, and she could forecast the weather within 1 day's time. Sure enough, clouds covered up the sun at lunchtime, and the sky fell into darkness. Thunderstorm arrived and the rain poured down. They were in the middle of extracting honey and beeswax, and felt lucky that they were not in the mountains. Otherwise the rain would have been too heavy for them to handle. Xiao Xian could tell that the rain would last for a very long time, maybe come down continuously for a couple of days. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 290, Watermelon Candy That Was Good. In this way, flowers would grow even more vividly. When it was sunny again, she decided to use her superpower. Then soon, the flowers would bloom flourishingly. However, the watermelons were not in the same state. Although she used her superpower to make the watermelons grow better so that they could have stronger resistance against the environment compared to the ordinary ones, watermelons were, after all, watermelons. They were afraid of the water piled up. Water puddles rotten the fruits. And the texture as well as the sweetness would be heavily reduced. That was horrible. She decided to sell them at a lower price if Yuezhing Shao's men came to fetch them after a few days. With many helping hands, honey was all done. There were many jars holding them, and each of them took 1 jar home and left the rest for sale. Xiao Xian smiled. I only need this much and I don't need the profits gained from the honey sale this time. Everyone can have a share. Elder brother, sister-in-law, though you were not with us in the mountains, you worked so hard and you should have some profits too. Shao Sanlang and Yang Xiaoni were not picky people. So they nodded in agreement. Shao Taotao smiled. Fifth sister-in-law found the honeycombs and she has the final call on everything. She hoped that this kind of day would last for a long time. However, if someone became selfish in the future, they would live separately, and would not have a row with each other. Ms. Su had plenty of money and she was much happier right now. Yang Xiaoni did not have many thoughts. It was Qi's wife who remained to be seen. It was still raining the following day. They were all bored. Ms. Fang felt very concerned about the watermelons in the yard. Xiao Xian asked Ms. Fang and Ms. Su to fetch some large ones home. They decided to remove the seeds and make some watermelon candies. They were bored so they had this idea, so they could save some watermelons on the way. They were both very excited and curious about it and helped along. The watermelons were slowly simmered on low heat and filtered with gauze. The amber-colored viscous syrup obtained in the end was very beautiful. When people tasted it, there was a unique fragrance of watermelon in the sweetness, which was very tempting. Xiao Xian had a couple of large plates in her hands and poured the syrup in them. They waited until the liquid solidified. After 2 hours, the syrup set in. When it went harder, it was cut into finger sizes and watermelon candies were formed, as the new sort of snack. It was not easy to see candies in this era, so children at home got so happy to get candies like that. Shao Zhenyan and Shao Qing were excited, and Shao Xiaoqi and Shao Taotao were happy to eat them as well. Shao Sanlang and Yang Xiaoni were no exceptions. Both of them were so happy about it. Xiao Xian tasted one and felt really satisfied. She gave it to Shao Yunduan and smiled. Sweet, huh? The watermelon candies could be good snacks, handy and tasty. We can buy some yellow paper to wrap them up next time we go into the town, and we can save them in the jar. When they made the candies in the future, they could also add some crushed peanuts, crushed walnuts, raisins, mint juice, rose juice, osmanthus. That meant that they could eat all kinds of candies. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 291. Chaos. She could ask Zhang Shao to find a carpenter who could make some silver or bronze candy models to shape the candies and future potential cakes. The more Xiao Xian thought about this, the more motivated she was. Seeing her sparkling eyes, Shao Yunduan could not help but smile and nod. Your ideas are never bad. Xiao Xian chuckled and exchanged a look with him. I think so too. The two of them smiled at each other. Xiao Xian picked some tomatoes for stewing. She made a jar of ketchup, and asked Ms. Su to yeast the pasta. She was going to make ketchup with egg noodles. Ketchup was a very good thing. She could save some to make sugar-coated ribs or braise the tofu. The sweet and sour ketchup was added with eggs and mixed into the noodles, which provided great texture, and it was really good for the stomach. It was really lively at the first section of the family, whilst the second section of the family was having problems. Due to the heavy rain, everyone was quite free at home. Ms. Niu was bored and decided to clean up the room a little. However, she found that the 5 liang she had hidden earlier was gone. Ms. Niu was a very sneaky person. She never hid her money in one place. So she was very startled when she saw the money missing. She checked around and found that everything else was still available. So she let out a sigh of relief. However, she felt so heartbroken thinking of the missing money. She always hid things well, and she never leafed through her hidden things in the room, otherwise she would have thought of this earlier. She suddenly thought of Ms. Zhang. Especially when Ms. Zhang kept asking her for 2 liang of money, saying that her brother's wife was going to give birth and needed money. Ms. Niu did not agree to give her any. Ms. Zhang always sneaked things home, and Ms. Niu hated her for her small moves. She would never loan her any money. Also, Ms. Zhang never returned any money she had borrowed. This bitch. How dare she steal my stuff? Ms. Niu rushed to Ms. Zhang. Ms. Zhang did not admit to it initially, but after being scolded, she had to admit in tears. My brother's wife gave birth to a baby, and we are too poor. You don't even want to loan me anything. I had no choice. Please, forgive me. I will never do that again. Ms. Niu kicked Ms. Zhang to the ground. You will never do it again? You will always do it, given another chance. My children need money for their marriages, and we need money for our family. How dare you steal money to support your own family? I will make my son divorce you. Ms. Zhang cried. Don't, Mom. I really won't do that again. Ms. Zhang was very scared. But she did not regret a thing. She felt lucky. When she stole the money and took it home, her parents and brother were all cheerful. They kept praising her for being capable. That made her feel so satisfied and gratified. She believed that she had done a good deed. Her brother was the only son of the family and he needed to be treated well. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 292. Furious, her mother-in-law would do nothing more but scold or hit her. She could bear that. After all, she had given birth to grandchildren for the family, and her mother-in-law would not drive her out. Also, it was not the first time for her to hear that she was going to be driven out. Hence, she did not panic. However, Ms. Niu was really pissed this time. She was not very happy about her stealing some stuff, but she could still tolerate that. But it was cash worth 5 liang this time. Worse, Ms. Zhang dared to sneak into her room to do the search. If it had happened once, it would happen twice. Her remaining cash would be taken out as well. Most importantly, she needed money to help her son and daughter to find good marriages, and Ms. Zhang was still focusing on her own family. What was this daughter-in-law good for? Second uncle and Shao Erlang were chatting at someone else's home but returned when they heard that something had happened at home. Second uncle's face darkened, as he pointed at his son. You two go to the Zhang family to get back the money. Ms. Zhang cried. Don't, please. Dad, Forgive me. Ms. Niu spat at her and sneered. I will forgive you when you get the money back, but if you fail, you can stay at your own home and never return. Son, you can divorce her. Shao Erlang was startled. What? You are questioning me? Ms. Niu barked at him. No, Shao Erlang staggered. But our children are still so young. So what? You can marry another one next year. Ms. Niu sneered. I am not letting her get away with it this time. She can still be divorced even if she bore children for you. I won't let her go this time. Ms. Niu was really angry about this. If Ms. Zhang only stole a few coins, she would not have been so angry. But this was too much money for her to accept. Also, Ms. Zhang always had her own ideas. No matter how much money she stole, she would have been scolded, so she must have thought to take it all. Ms. Niu pushed Ms. Zhang and Shao Erlang out of the yard and slapped the door shut, sneering at them. Go to the Zhang family to get the money back. Without the money, Ms. Zhang will never be allowed to come back home. Ms. Zhang cried. Erlang, please, our children can't lose their mother. Shao Erlang snapped and said angrily, shut up now. How dare you cry like this? Go to your family to get back the money. Ms. Zhang's face changed. But, how dare you steal 5 liang from my mother? Your family is so greedy. Shao Erlang sneered. With her head lowered, Ms. Zhang did not dare to speak up. The first section of the family soon heard about the story of the second section of the family. Miss Fong pursed her lips and laughed. That's their family affairs. Your second aunt is not a good thing, nor is Ms. Zhang. How can she help her family like this? Her brother is like a piece of trash now. All the 3 sisters of the Zhang family kept helping their brother with all efforts. Hearing the gossip, Xiao Xian and the others felt so speechless. Suddenly, Ms. Zhang came rushing with tears and kneeling down in front of Ms. Fong. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 293, Begging. Ms. Zhang begged tearfully as she said to Ms. Fong, please help me. Mom says that she is going to throw me out of the family, but my children should never lose their mother. Miss Fang's face changed. You. Ms. Su could not help but retreat. She did not like to get involved with anything strange. Xiao Xian was so disgusted. She stole Ms. Niu's money, thus, was getting driven out. She came to Ms. Fong for a totally obvious purpose. She was trying to ask Ms. Fong to give her the money. Xiao Xian could not help but feel shocked inwardly. She spoke up. Second sister-in-law, you can talk to us in a normal way. Why are you crying like this? People might think that Mom has done you some bad. Ms. Fong realized what was happening too. She pressed down her anger and sneered. True. What are you crying at my feet for? How annoying. Ms. Zhang shivered and ceased crying. She did not dare to counter Ms. Fong but stared at Xiao Xian. Fifth sister-in-law, I am so pitiful, please don't scold me anymore. Second sister-in-law, you are pitiful but not because of us. I am just telling the truth. Xiao Xian said coldly, you think you are pitiful, so you believe that second aunt has been wrong in teaching you a lesson? Ms. Zhang. Only then did Ms. Fong feel a bit better. She drove away Shao Sanlang and Shao Xiaoqi, but said to Shao Erlang, Erlang, have her get up, I can't stand this behavior. Shao Erlang felt a bit uncomfortable but moved to help his wife up. Ms. Zhang pushed him away. Please, help me. Seeing her on her knees, Ms. Fong said, Ms. Su, Ms. Yang, get her up and deliver her back to the second section of the family. You have your own senior people in the family to take care of your affairs. I don't want to get involved in this matter. She would be crazy to get involved in their family's dealings. Ms. Zhang got so anxious as she looked at Ms. Fong with despair. Please, eldest aunt, loan me 5 liang. Fifth sister-in-law must easily have this much. Please, just 5 lien, I will definitely repay you. Erlang will divorce me if I don't give her the money. If my children lose their mother, you will feel bad too, right? Miss Fong did not even change her expression. So, if your mother-in-law loves her grandchildren, she will never divorce you. Those are her grandchildren too, right? Just go back and offer a sincere apology. Ms. Zhang kept begging her. But Miss Fong did not even want to look at her any longer. Helpless, Ms. Zhang snapped angrily. You are so cruel. Yang Xiaoni could not hold it anymore and said, Second sister-in-law, you are so unreasonable. You stole the money, and second aunt drove you away. What does it have to do with us? You think that 5 liang falls from the sky so you can have it whenever you want it? Ms. Zhang burst out in tears and was finally pulled away by Shao Erlang. She went back to the Zhang family with Shao Erlang against her will. Miss Fong sneered. Okay, just leave them alone. We will never get involved with such stupid things. Qiao Xian and Yang Xiaoni nodded in agreement. Really stupid things. But Ms. Zhang was really bold enough to steal money from Ms. Niu. This woman had been too obsessed with helping her brother to understand what was going on. Soon, eldest uncle hurried home and asked Miss Fong. I heard that Ms. Zhang is being driven out of the family. What is going on? Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 294. Not interested. Ms. Fong glanced at him and exchanged a few words. But she did not mention that Ms. Zhang had been here. Eldest uncle rubbed his hands. How can a nice family become like this? Poor children, Ms. Zhang is so confused. Ms. Fong laughed. True. Eldest uncle thought of Ms. Zhang's family and was even more confused. I don't think her family is able to offer this much money. Miss Fong replied. Then, we will see if they love this daughter of theirs. Eldest uncle sighed and went to check how it was going on at the second section of the family. He even asked Miss Fong to go with him, but she promptly turned that offer down. She was not interested at all. By the evening, Ms. Zhang returned with Shao Erlang in distress. She was empty-handed. The parents of hers would never be so simple-minded when they taught their 3 daughters to help their youngest brother. Ms. Zhang got scolded thoroughly when she asked them for 3 liang. They had no money to offer. Even Shao Erlang was scolded by his in-laws. They kept saying that their only son was precious and their grandson was going to be born. As the daughter of the family, she should offer a hand too. They would never give the money back. What was the Shao family thinking? As they returned home, eldest uncle was still at the residence of the second section of the family. Ms. Niu understood clearly what happened, judging from how Ms. Zhang and Shao Erlang looked. Her face sank and she asked them with clenched teeth. Where is the money? Nothing was returned. Ms. Niu got so annoyed as she was reminded of the money Ms. Zhang stole. She pointed at Ms. Zhang and said, What are you doing here since you can't get the money? Did they not accept your request? It seems that they don't like you either. Ms. Zhang covered her face with her hands, begging. Mom, please, I don't dare to do that ever again. Ms. Zhang had never expected that Ms. Niu would get so angry this time. She felt kind of regretful. But how her parents and brother reacted disheartened her as well. Yet she was more scared right now, fearing that Ms. Niu would really drive her out. What are you crying for? Ms. Niu shouted and pushed Ms. Zhang out of the house. Just get out of here, go back to your own home. I am not joking with you. Shao Erlang could not stand it anymore and defended his wife. Mom, please, just shut up. Ms. Niu snapped angrily. We can't have a thief at home. Your brother and Miling are about to find a marriage soon, and the dowry and wedding gifts are not yet settled. She stole our money and you are still defending her. Chaos arose in the family. Eldest uncle rushed back home and told Ms. Fong, "Loan 5 liang to my brother's family. They will return it soon. It has something to do with Xilang and Miling. We are not joking here." "Please, loan the money to them." Ms. Niu cursed at Ms. Zhang and Shao Erlang, then she started to cry about how difficult it was to establish the marriage for the two children. Second uncle was helping along too. In this way, the eldest uncle got involved. Ms. Fong laughed. "Of course, no one is joking. So, did Ms. Zhang not get any money from her family?" Eldest uncle frowned. "You know pretty well what they are like." "Yes." Ms. Fong sneered. "The Zhang family are shameless Daod Li. And they've deserved to get nothing. We are good people and hence, we are cleaning up for them, is it? Sorry for the inconvenience." "Thank you very much." Chapter 295, Ms. Niu's Twisted Face. Ms. Zhang stole her own mother-in-law's money. "Why should I make it up for them?" "You," elder uncle frowned. "But Xilang and Miling are innocent, and we should understand what is more important." Ms. Fong had already predicted how her husband would defend his brothers, but she still felt quite heartbroken upon hearing this. He was clueless. He kept saying that he needed to protect his brothers and their families, but none of them respected him as the eldest in the family. Xilang and Miling were innocent, true, so they should go to those who caused them trouble, not to others. But Miss Fong was too lazy to explain it properly to her husband. Her husband had no sway in the family because she was the one who made the decisions, not him. Miss Fong said, "I don't have any money." "We have nothing." Eldest uncle did not believe her. He sighed emotionally. "Don't worry, they will definitely pay us back. They are just a little tight in hand right now, and they need to establish marriages for their children soon. You all work for Ms. Chiao, everyone is paid, right?" Ms. Fong nodded and said calmly, "True, but Yunwan needs to visit the college every month and he needs money too." "He has it all." Elder uncle gasped, asking in disbelief. "Really?" He did not quite believe what Ms. Fong said. But Ms. Fong did not care if he believed her. She had the final say. "Yes, yes." Eldest uncle fell silent. Ms. Fong sneered. "Well, I think that they can go to the Zhang family themselves. What are they afraid of? Ms. Zhang needs to be taught a lesson anyway, otherwise she will make the same mistake again and again. That is not acceptable. They can either keep their faces or their money." Eldest uncle felt distressed and walked to the second section of the family. Ms. Niu and second uncle got very disappointed when they saw that he had no money with him. Eldest brother was the master of the family. But he had no say about a thing. They did not need to bother with him anymore, since he was so weak. Ms. Niu could not stand it anymore and asked. "Miss Chiao has no money either. I believe that she just wants to keep the money for herself." Eldest uncle did not know how to respond. He also believed that Xiao Xian had money. Look at the watermelons she had sold. But she was not going to loan them any. Moreover, they still owed her a lot of money for his third son's wedding and he could not possibly force her to give out a loan again. Worse, she wasn't that obedient either. Ms. Niu snorted and pushed Ms. Zhang out of the yard. "Just get out of here. Now." Ms. Zhang burst into tears again. She begged and cried for help. Eldest uncle felt so ashamed. When the chaos arose here, Miss Fong came over and asked eldest uncle to come back for dinner. Miss Fong smiled and whispered to Ms. Niu, whose face changed immediately. Miss Fong glanced at eldest uncle. "Are you coming back? Else you can stay at your brother's home for dinner, and we will eat by ourselves." Ms. Niu suddenly urged him. "Eldest brother, go home for dinner." She was not going to keep him over for dinner. Eldest uncle felt so distressed but did not dare say a thing. So he left with Ms. Fong. Hearing what Ms. Niu said, Ms. Fong felt quite happy. She was going to see how much longer he was going to tolerate it and be like this. Chapter 296. Saddened Ms. Niu thought for one whole night before deciding to go and get the money back herself. She must get the 5 liang back. Therefore early next morning, Ms. Niu, second uncle, Shao Erlang and Shao Silang headed straight to the Zhang family and started to rummage through their home, until they eventually found 5 liang. The Zhang family had been living a very rich life after getting so much from the daughters' husbands. The money Ms. Zhang brought home was still untouched. Ms. Niu recognized her money immediately. With money in hands, the second section of the family felt really satisfied. That son of the Zhang family was just a stupid and timid person, who retreated and hid in a corner. The old lady and her husband cried, but Ms. Niu sneered. Ms. Zhang stole the money from my room and it is right for me to take it back. Stop crying. One more theft, and Ms. Zhang is out of my family. You should never cause her any more trouble in the future. Feeling proud, Ms. Niu dashed off and left with her family. Ms. Zhang had no idea what they did behind her back. Ms. Niu was really relieved and showed off the money in front of Ms. Zhang as soon as she returned home. Ms. Zhang was shocked. She snapped. How can you do that, Mom? Ms. Niu sneered. I can definitely do it. You stole my money. Also, if you dare to do this one more time, I will go to the Zhang family directly. Pale, Ms. Zhang staggered in distress. She started to cry in sadness. Her mother-in-law was behaving way over the top. What would her brother do? He was going to have a baby soon. Ms. Zhang felt so annoyed. Ms. Niu snorted and felt relieved. She was in a good mood and did not want to pester her anymore. Hearing the whole story, Ms. Fong told her husband. See, that was such a simple thing to do to resolve the matter. Eldest uncle was shocked. He had not expected that Ms. Fong had offered such an idea to Ms. Niu. How could you do that? Ms. Fong smiled. Why not? Ms. Zhang steals and your brother and his wife should get back what belongs to them. What is wrong with that? Oh, should I make it up for their sake? Honestly, let me tell you, I am totally fed up with how I have been living with you guys during the past few years. I don't have money, but even if I do, I will not share anything with them in the future. You can move and go live with them if you want to. Our children are all grown up and Chi and Tao Tao have their brothers and their wives to help when they need a wedding. It doesn't matter if you are here or not. Also, in this way, you can work for your brothers devotedly, and we won't drag you down. That sounds perfect, doesn't it? Ms. Fong had no intention of getting involved with what happened to the second section of the family because it had nothing to do with her. Every family had their own affairs. But they kept pestering her again and again. Ms. Zhang made the mistake but she was being forced to make up for it. That was never going to happen again. Ms. Niu and her husband were cunning and kept coaxing her husband. Chapter 297. Cutting the hope. That was why she came up with this bad idea. Anyways, she just gave a suggestion and Ms. Niu could make her own decision. Eldest uncle got so stuck that he could not utter any sound. After a few moments, he said in a shivering voice, "What are you talking about?" Ms. Fong smiled, yet the smile was cold. I am just telling the truth, which has been inside my head for decades. I have spilled it all now. You, don't get ruffled. You can do whatever you want in the future, but don't get the rest of the family involved in it. Ms. Fong did not want to argue with him anymore. She left the place calmly. She let out a sigh of relief as she reached the gate. She was feeling unexpectedly cheerful and relaxed. She did not care about what had happened in the past anymore. She had gone over all the misery she used to suffer. Now she had sons, daughter-in-laws and money. If someone forced her to do something anymore, the whole family would no longer need to stay together. She had hoped that her husband would change, despite seeing that he was stubborn for so long. But now she was losing hope and decided to let him do whatever he wanted. She was so shocked when she saw Ms. Zhang kneeling down in front of her, begging her for money the previous day. That was so horrifying. The second section of the family would get more and more greedy in the future. It was all because her husband, who was the eldest brother, believed that he had the responsibility of taking care of them. But Ms. Zhang was not in the same generation as they were. Then, how could she be so shameless to come to her with this request? Was her husband going to take care of his own brothers as well as their children? Ms. Zhang dared to do so only because she had learned that from her in-laws. She also believed that the first section of the family should take care of everyone from the second section of the family. She had not lived a smooth life for decades, and could forget what happened in the past. But she was never going to allow such things to happen to her children. She had to cut off the tendency right here and now. It was good that her children were all nice people. After Ms. Qiao married her son, the whole family started to get better. Her husband did not dare to make Ms. Qiao do whatever he wanted, after all she was from a noble family. When her husband could not make Ms. Qiao do what he wanted, then he would not be able to make the others do whatever he wanted. Ms. Feng felt refreshed in her mind. Ms. Qiao was their lucky star. After hearing the truth, Ms. Zhang staggered back to her home, wanting to console her parents and make an explanation. However, her mother, who was feeling so regretful about the money, snapped at Ms. Zhang. "Do you have any money with you?" Ms. Zhang got startled and said in a small voice, "No. No, I don't." "Then, get out of here," she barked. "You are useless. I raised you because I wanted you to help us. We don't need such a useless person like you here." Ms. Zhang cried, yet she did not have the chance to defend herself, before getting driven out by her mother. Ms. Zhang had no choice but to cry all the way back home. She thought for a while and rushed to the first section of the Shao family. "Eldest aunt, it was you who told my mother-in-law to steal the money from my home, right? How could you do that?" Ms. Feng sneered. "Was that your mother's money? I told your mother-in-law to get back what belonged to her. That is not stealing. You have to make a clear distinction between right and wrong." Chapter 298, Treatment. Ms. Zhang cried pitifully. "My brother's wife is going to give birth soon. How can we support the baby without money? My family isn't as rich as your family, and I did that because I had no choice. How could you not understand my difficulty? Every family has problems. Work hard and you will get it through. Why doesn't your brother work? Your husband's family have to support your family. Ms. Zhang, you are so stupid. Anyways, that is not my business. You can do whatever you want. Why did you get us involved? I won't let that happen. Just tell your in-laws to stop fooling your eldest uncle. Your eldest uncle doesn't have the decision-making authority in this house. You might as well work hard to earn money instead." Ms. Zhang could not understand it. She cried but did not dare to hate Ms. Niu. So she started to blame Ms. Feng in the first section for what she did. She hated them so much. She hated it when Ms. Feng gave Ms. Niu the bad idea. Her brother had been physically weak since he was young and he had never worked before. He would die if he was asked to work. What if he got sick and hurt his body? He was the only son of the Zhang family and he should be completely fine all the time. His sisters ought to take care of him. Also, she knew that Ms. Niu had much more than 5 liang. She had given birth to 2 children for the Shao family. Why couldn't she get some bonus? How could they treat her like this? The son's wedding gifts and the daughter's dowry could just cancel each other out. When Ms. Zhang left, she ran into Xiao Xian and Tao Tao, who had just picked the wolfberry sprouts and 2 yams and brought them home. She sneered with hostility in her tone. "You are so lucky, fifth sister-in-law. You are loved because you have money, and you don't need to do anything." Xiao Xian became annoyed. What was she talking about? I did not irritate you. Also, it is you who caused all the problems, isn't it? She had no plans to start an argument with Ms. Zhang regarding this boring topic. So, she went away with Tao Tao. Ms. Zhang felt even worse and glared at her. The day was finally getting hotter. The blue sky was clear, the air was so clean that there was no dust flying, and all the plants and trees seemed to be fresher, greener and vibrant. Xiao Xian spared some time to visit the floral field and used her superpower to make the flowers and plants grow even more vividly. The flowers would soon bloom in a couple of days. Then, they could continue with the making of lipsticks. After a few days, Shao Yunduan was going to Minghua College and Xiao Xian wanted to follow along to the town. She was going to sell the remaining filtered honey to Manager Qin, before heading to the agent to buy some more fields at the Zhang village to plant tea leaves trees. Shao Yunduan agreed. After breakfast, they rented a bullock cart and headed out. Shao Sanlang smiled. "Fifth brother, I would like to go into the town with Xiaoyi. Should we go together?" Young Xiaoyi looked excited and hopeful. Her eyes were sparkling as she looked at Xiao Xian. "Fifth sister-in-law, I have never been to the town. I would like to go and have a look at it." Chapter 299, Random Talk. Xiao Xiaoqi and Tao Tao also came there and stood. Both of them had been to the town numerous times, but it was bustling there and they would like to visit again. Xiao Xian smiled at Shao Yunduan. "What about all of us going there?" Before Shao Yunduan could respond, everybody cheered. Okay, let everyone head there." "Great. We promise not to run around. Also, we can talk on the way there to keep everyone entertained. Brother Sanlang, I want to buy some good food to eat." Shao Yunduan smiled helplessly. Okay, let's go." Xiao Xian whispered to him. "We should go separately later. We have to visit Zhang village and check out our place." Shao Yunduan nodded. Okay, they had just stepped out when Ms. Zhang came over after finishing the laundry by the riverside. Although what happened the day before disgusted everyone, and they all pretended not to see her, someone said, "Second sister-in-law." Ms. Zhang showed a sneering look. "Is everyone heading to town? Rich people, I wonder how much longer can fifth sister-in-law's dowry last." It basically meant that the first section of the family was using Xiao Xian's dowry and spending her money. Worse, Xiao Xian was cheering them on like a stupid person. Having said the words, Ms. Zhang stood still. Shao Sanlang could not help but respond. "Second sister-in-law, you are wrong, we are not using fifth sister-in-law's dowry." Young Xiaomi pursed her lips and supported her husband. "True." Shao Yunduan added. "Where did you get this idea from? You better not talk like this without evidence." Ms. Zhang sneered. Xiao Xian smiled and felt helpless. "Actually, I don't understand why there are always people who consider me to be a stupid person and worry about my dowry all the time. It doesn't have to be like this." Ms. Zhang felt stuffy in her chest and could not give any response. She felt a bit dumb. Seeing the 2 jars on the cart, she suddenly asked, "What is this?" She reached out to pick up the lid. No one had expected that she would be like this. They were all startled and failed to stop her. Ms. Zhang removed the lid and felt the scent of sweetness coming to her nose. She could not help but swallow down her saliva. Her eyes widened. "This is honey." Ms. Zhang could not hide her happiness. "Where did you get all this honey?" Shao Sanlang was the one who responded. "Found in the mountains." They were heading into the town with honey. So Ms. Zhang said, "You are selling it in the town." All of them had a weird expression on her face. Why had they not stopped Ms. Zhang earlier? Xiao Xian nodded and said openly, "Yes, it can get us a lot of money when sold in the clinic." Ms. Zhang's teeth clenched and she glared at Xiao Xian. Xiao Yunduan defended Xiao Xian and said politely, "Anything else you want to say? If not, we are leaving." Ms. Zhang snorted and said nothing more. Shao Sanlang continued walking towards the cart. Second sister-in-law will definitely tell second uncle and second aunt. What should we do now? Shao Taotao felt quite worried. They exchanged a look among themselves and felt the same. Xiao Xian chuckled. Doesn't matter. Actually, they will sooner or later know about what is going on with our family. But so what? What can they do about? Chapter 300. In town they were all startled. But Shao Yunduan smiled. Yes. We are earning money, not stealing or robbing anyone, so we don't have to be afraid of our secret getting revealed. Xiao Xian nodded. Very true. She was just worried about the Qiao family, not the Shao family. They had kept it a secret only because they wanted to avoid some unnecessary trouble. If it was known, it would not matter either. Shao Sanlang and the others felt assured and nodded. Soon, they started to talk cheerfully as well. Shao Yunduan accompanied them to Mingrentang, said a few words and then headed to Minghua College. Xiao Xian sold the honey to manager Qin at the price as before, 71 for half a kilo, and they received 4 to 5 qian for the 30 kilos. They were given 9 qian respectively, excluding Xiao Xian. Miss Fong had told them that they did not need to hand in this little money anymore and they could keep it. This was not a small amount, and they were all excited as they headed towards the street for shopping. We have decided to buy some snacks, what do you think? Shao Sanlang was actually trying to drive away Xiao Xian and the other 2 followers. He wanted to spend the time alone with his wife so that they could go shopping for food. Xiao Xian nodded and decided to quit as the third wheel. She said, "We will buy some garments. You both can look around." The couple had been waiting for this sentence to come and added, Okay. We can go shopping separately and gather here for lunch, what do you think? What about finding a good restaurant to eat in? The 3 of them nodded. Shao Sanlang told Shao Xiaoqi to take good care of Tao Tao and 5th sister-in-law. We will buy some meat for tonight and tomorrow. You don't need to buy any. Xiao Xian volunteered to become the chef for tonight. She added. Then, buy a piece of pork belly, a pork rib, and 2 elbows. Last time, some rice noodles were left. Half of the pork belly would be made into double-cooked pork, the other half would be steamed, the elbow would be cooked into sweet and sour, and the rest would be served with the spare ribs. The remaining stuff can be eaten tomorrow. Shao Sanlang and the couple could not help but drool. Okay, let's do as 5th sister-in-law says. Then, the 2 teams went their separate ways as per their own shopping plan. Before lunch, they gathered at Mingrentang with many shopping bags. Xiao Xian even got some pastries for Mingrentang and the 2 page boys to eat so they could place their stuff there for the time being. Manager Qin did not reject them. He received them passionately. The 5 of them went into the restaurant for lunch. Shao Yunduan was still at the college and did not join them. Yang Xiaoni was at a restaurant for the first time and she was very excited about it. She believed that the dishes at the restaurant would be very tasty. But Xiao Xian could make equally good ones. After lunch they went back to Mingrentang and waited. Shao Yunduan came over and went away with Xiao Xian. It was very easy to buy mountain fields. The agent took them to the Zhang village and spoke with the land officer about it, and the deal was done quickly. Xiao Xian and Shao Yunduan did not show up in person, but let the agent speak with the land officer, telling him that it was some relatives who were buying. The agent did not figure out why he was supposed to say that, but his mouth remained sealed. He didn't ask about anything even though he was curious. He just cared about the money. Chapter 301, Tea Leaves Sight. Also, the agent knew them well, and he knew that they always wanted to stay low profile. The whole thing was settled very fast. Shao Yunduan and Xiao Xian bought 2 connected mountains, totaling 500 mu. They spent 2033 liang, including all the fees. In this transaction, they had spent half of the earnings gained from Yuezhing Shao and Xie Jingrong. Now, they had only 2,300 liang left. Xiao Xian was very satisfied with the land contracts in her hand. She was a young landowner with so many fields in hands. When she built the gardens, and filled in some staff, she would have a firm foundation. Honestly speaking, since golden sprouts and lavender were such precious tea leaves, Xiao Xian would not dare to plant them but for Yuezhing Shao and Xie Jingrong's existence. Otherwise, the plants would be stolen and attract trouble. Money was always very attractive, and profits in this deal would be far and beyond. People might get really greedy for what they could possibly gain. However, right now, they felt well protected. The agent handled the whole thing well. He claimed that a relative was here checking out the locations and decided to buy some land to plant tea leaves and herbs. The land officer of the Zhang village did not suspect a thing. Even if they realized that Xiao Xian owned the land, it was fine. They could just say that they were hired. By the time they were capable enough, the land officer would very much want them to stay and get their villagers hired as the labor. They barely had time to visit Ding Zhou and Ms. Zhou, after they finished with the business. Hence, they stayed over for just a short while. They understood that the couple was doing very well. Xiao Xian liked the Zhou family. She was going to ask the Zhou family for help when the tea garden was set up. If she established a friendship with the Zhou family, she would automatically become friends with Ding Xiang after she made it big in the future. Xiao Xian wondered how Ding Xiang felt when she left. Was she holding a grudge against her parents? Maybe yes, but when she returned, she might still take care of them. They were weak, but they had already been punished. Xiao Xian and Shao Yunduan returned to the town and joined the others, before going back home together. As they went back home, the sun was already going down, and it would soon be dinner time. The summer was coming and the day was longer. It was still bright when they started to eat dinner. The second section of the family heard about Ms. Zhang's narration regarding the honey. Second uncle and Ms. Niu were very annoyed, and complained about the first section of the family for doing business alone. It must have been Shao Xiaoqi who took the whole family to find honey. They should have asked the second section of the family to tag along, since they knew that they were running out of money. The second section of the family could earn some money as well. The honey could be sold at dozens of yuan for half a kilo. Second section of the family came to eldest uncle about the matter, though they had intended to ignore him earlier. Eldest uncle knew that Shao Xiaoqi and Xiao Xian would visit the mountains to get some mushrooms, bamboo and wild animals. But he did not know about the honey. So when second uncle talked about this, he was startled as well. He also agreed that she should have taken the other sections of the family along with him. Chapter 302, Waiting. He intended to ask Ms. Fong about this, but as he thought of how Ms. Fong might react, he hesitated. Actually, he did not dare to. He could almost predict that no matter whether Ms. Fong knew about it or not, she would behave the same. He decided to wait until his son and the others returned from the town. However, Xiao Xian and Shao Yunduan did their own business at the Zhang village, so they did not return until the evening. They were all talking about what to eat for dinner and decided to make dinner as they came home. Ms. Niu and the others were all waiting for them. The moment they put down their things, second uncle and Ms. Niu came over. Did you all go sell the honey? Where is the money? Ms. Niu asked in such a hurry as if they should share the money with her. She had spotted a wife for her son. She was from a good family who sold tofu. Ms. Niu was very satisfied with her, but they required a lot of wedding gifts. Before Xiao Xian answered, Ms. Fang snapped. That has nothing to do with you. Elder sister-in-law, it is your fault. You know that we are running short of money. Why did your family not take us along to make some money too? Xiao Xian blinked and said innocently, it is because we want to make money ourselves. We are of course not going to take anyone else with us. Ms. Niu and second uncle. Eldest uncle frowned. You. Ms. Qiao, Ms. Fang immediately said, okay, Ms. Qiao, Duan, you are both tired, just go back to your room and don't worry about anything that is unrelated to you. They nodded when they heard her speak. Ms. Fang looked at the second section of the family and said coldly, do you not understand what I have been saying all this while? Never mind, I can repeat it a few times. You are not getting any money from us, nor can you get a loan from us. You can come and steal the money, but if you are caught, I will report you all to the governmental office. Don't you ever forget who my daughter-in-law's father is. Second uncle shivered in anger. Eldest brother, why don't you say something? Eldest sister-in-law, are you cutting us off? Ms. Fang said calmly, if you want to do that, I am willing as well. Ms. Niu responded angrily. Eldest sister-in-law, you are cutting us off. Ms. Fang answered. Oh, I am done with what I need to say, you can continue to talk. I am off. Ms. Fang turned around and left. Eldest uncle called her but she pretended not to hear. Second uncle got so furious as he snapped at eldest uncle. Eldest brother, you are the master of the family. What did our parents say when they passed away? You are living a good life now, but you are throwing us away? We can leave the rest alone, but Xilang needs to get married. The Yan family said that we need to give 20 liang as wedding gifts, or the marriage will not work. Are you so cruel as not to care about this? You offered 20 liang to the Yang family. The Yan family is definitely better than them, right? We need to hold our reputation high and not let Xilang get humiliated. Eldest uncle felt so annoyed. Don't worry, second brother, I will talk with your elder sister-in-law about this. We must help Xilang. Only then did second uncle and Ms. Niu drop the topic. But they continued to spill out their bitterness and misery, forcing eldest uncle to offer them the money. If the first section of the family gave out the money, that would be great. The moment they left, eldest uncle turned to find Ms. Fang. Chapter 303, Business. But Ms. Fang did not care about eldest uncle's request, now that she had decided to leave the other sections of the family alone. No matter what he said, Ms. Fang did not agree to any of it. Eldest uncle got so irritated that he did not even come out of the room to have dinner. Everyone was quite surprised. Ms. Fang did not care and said coldly, don't worry about him. He can starve for all he wants. He would not die after not eating a few meals. The whole family was speechless, but they said nothing when Ms. Fang put it forward so bluntly and firmly. Eldest uncle was really sad. He spent the whole night in misery but did not dare to meet his brother and his wife. He felt sorry about not living up to his parents' expectations. Second uncle and Ms. Niu were very disappointed. They didn't earn much by the sale of honey. You think about the wedding gifts and tell me if you need anything. Second uncle sneered. What is the point of telling you? Ms. Zhang added as she was listening. Eldest uncle, I saw that they had a lot of honey. They would have easily sold it for 20 liang. Eldest uncle gasped and mumbled. He could not get the money even if there was. He could not force Ms. Fang to give him any. Ives. Nang Merkner said, E1's aunt was not 11 ku RMS drawer, until sister-in-law came to your family. Everything has changed. She was born in a noble family and she is very calculative. Ms. Zhang pushed all the grudges to the first section of the family, especially Xiao Xian, who had 26 sets of dowry. Ms. Niu threw a very satisfied look at Ms. Zhang, and nodded in agreement. Eldest uncle felt uncomfortable as well. He was not very satisfied with Xiao Xian either. But there was nothing he could do about it. It was out of his reach. When eldest uncle left, Ms. Niu and second uncle complained more amongst themselves. They are getting so stingy. No wonder they say that money makes people stingy. It is all Ms. Qiao's fault. Yes. They keep saying that we are a family and then behave like this. We should cut them off as well. But what should be done about the wedding gifts? Second uncle drove Ms. Zhang away when they started to talk about money. He asked Ms. Niu. Honestly speaking, will we be able to afford the 20 liang wedding gifts? Ms. Zhang did not go away immediately. Instead, she stood eavesdropping outside the door. Hearing that, she covered her mouth tightly to stop herself from screaming. 20 liang? She got irritated. She had only received 6 liang as a wedding gift. Why should they offer the Yan family 20 liang? That was totally unfair. She was not worse than the girl from the Yan family. She had given birth to the grandchildren of the family. She had been working so hard for the second section of the family. But they treated her like this. She only stole 5 liang from her own family and her mother-in-law wanted to get it back in such a humiliating manner. Now they were planning to give the Yan family 20 liang as a wedding gift. Also, Yang Xiaoни's family received 20 liang as the wedding gift as well. She had been treated the worst. Ms. Zhang could not hear what more Ms. Niu and second uncle talked about. She felt so irritated. Annoyed, she went out and ran into Ms. Su. She decided to hold on to her. Chapter 304, Ms. Zhang's Estrangement. We are both daughters-in-law, and we are suffering from misery. Also, our in-laws prefer someone else. Just think about this, when you got married, you received only 6 liang as a wedding gift, and Yang Xiaoni was paid 20. That is so unfair. You are the eldest daughter-in-law of the family, how can you be treated like this? Ms. Su was startled and her face changed. Although she had been focusing on her own family, she was never on the top. She never thought about this, but for Ms. Zhang's mention of the matter. Seeing her expression, Ms. Zhang felt quite proud and said some more things before she left. But soon Ms. Su brought herself back. She was not quite happy about where she was now, but that was nothing. Yang Xiaoni was not in the same position as she had been at her natal house. Her mother-in-law was forced to spend so much money on the wedding gift, not because she volunteered to do so. Most importantly, she had enough of her own savings now. She had counted it recently. Much to her delight, she had saved more than 100 liang, which belonged to herself alone. Also, she was going to get some more soon. In hindsight, the wedding gifts worth 20 liang were nothing. Also, Yang Xiaoni was a nice person. She seemed quite honest and innocent. She liked her. Ms. Zhang told her this matter deliberately because she must be planning something bad. On the other side, Ms. Zhang was still feeling quite annoyed about the Yan family receiving 20 liang as the wedding gift, even though she had managed to provoke Ms. Su. The more she thought about this, the more distressed she became. She even spent the whole night crying. She wished that the wedding could be cancelled. But Ms. Niu already found a matchmaker who could help with the wedding. In the end, the amount for the wedding gifts was still high. Ms. Zhang was really annoyed. They took the money from the shared savings. Ms. Niu was not happy about the money, but she was satisfied about the marriage with the Yan family, and the Yan family said that the dowry would be 8 liang, so she agreed. But Ms. Niu kept complaining about the first section of the family. That had caused all of this. The first section of the family spent 20 liang on the wedding gift for Yang Xiaoni, and that became known to the Yan family, who kept saying that they needed 20 liang as well, since their daughter was not worse than young Xiaoni. Ms. Niu kept negotiating and the Yan family cut the wedding gift to 15 liang finally. Ms. Niu had no choice but to nod in agreement. Seeing that the whole thing was settled, Ms. Zhang got so annoyed that she wished that Ms. Su would make some fuss. But nothing happened. She kept saying that Ms. Su was useless. Shao Xilang's marriage was finally settled. The wedding was expected to be held at the new year. Ms. Niu felt very relieved. She went to the first section of the family and showed off. She told Ms. Fong implicitly that they could still get Xilang a good suitor without their help. Same went for Miling. Ms. Fong responded to her calmly. That is good, you have abundant money and the Yan family have a lot of wealth too, good marriage. Ms. Niu snorted. Of course, it is good. Ms. Fong was not as narrow-minded as they were. She would not want the other sections of the family to live miserably, as long as they did not come to her for trouble. Soon, Yuezheng Shao's men came to fetch the watermelons. Due to the constant rain, the watermelons went bad and the taste was not as good as before. Qiao Xian reduced the price and charged only 40 liang for both wagons. You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.